In temperatures of -70 degrees Celsius, everyone else had already frozen to the point where they could barely take care of themselves. Zhang Yi, however, was sitting comfortably at home, enjoying hot pot and sipping red wine. Outside his door, his former dream girl was still trying to trade her beauty for a single beef meatball. Zhang Yi could not even be bothered to look at her. He would rather dump the entire hot pot into the trash than give these people a single bite. The neighborhood thug flew into a rage. He lifted an iron hammer weighing nearly 900 pounds and slammed it into Zhang Yi's front door. Once, twice, then again and again. Yet the door did not move an inch. It was an armored door built to the same standard as a bank vault. Forget a hammer, even a missile would struggle to blast it open. Zhang Yi had spent a fortune turning his apartment into a fortress because the outside world had already entered an apocalyptic ice age. More than 90% of humanity had died in the Cambrian storm, leaving food and supplies as the only currency that mattered. Even a packet of expired crackers could make people slaughter one another. In his previous life, Zhang Yi had been far too soft-hearted. Just to bring his dream girl a packet of instant noodles, he had risked freezing to death and stepped outside. The instant he opened the door, a mob of neighbors rushed him. Zhang Yi was knocked to the ground as fists, boots, clubs, and furious curses swallowed him whole. Before losing consciousness, Zhang Yi saw Fang Yuqing standing behind the crowd. Wearing a pitiful expression, she claimed Zhang Yi had tricked her into coming there. A moment later, everything went black. When Zhang Yi opened his eyes again, he shot upright from the couch, his entire body drenched in cold sweat. The room was warm, and everything around him was perfectly quiet. The date on his phone read November 12th. Zhang Yi stared at it for several seconds before finally realizing the truth. He had been reborn. There was still exactly 1 month before the Cambrian storm wiped out 90% of humanity. This time, Zhang Yi would show no mercy. He would never sacrifice his chance of survival for anyone again. Just then, a ray of white light appeared before him. His consciousness was pulled inside, revealing an enormous white world, an alternate dimension. Zhang Yi tried placing his television and refrigerator inside. The white space accepted both without resistance. After being reborn, he had gained a genuine trump card. Zhang Yi looked down at his employee badge. He was the warehouse manager for Walmart's South China division. That enormous warehouse, the largest of its kind in the world, contained more supplies than anyone could count. If Zhang Yi emptied that warehouse, he would have enough food to last not 1 lifetime, but 10. His stomach suddenly growled. He glanced at the takeout sitting on the table and tossed it straight into the trash. The apocalypse was only a month away. He needed to enjoy every delicious meal he could, because money would soon become worthless paper. Zhang Yi left home and headed directly to a 3-star Michelin restaurant. He ordered every expensive dish on the menu and opened a bottle of Chateau Lafite. The meal cost him 50,000 yuan. Coming back from the dead deserved a proper celebration. As Zhang Yi devoured the food, the taste of a hot meal nearly brought tears to his eyes. Outside the window, Fang Yuqing and Lin Seining happened to stop in their tracks. They saw Zhang Yi and the extravagant meal on his table, worth at least 50 or 60,000 yuan. Lin Seining lowered her voice. Isn't that Zhang Yi, Yuqing's little simp? So he was secretly a rich heir this entire time. Fang Yuqing's eyes immediately lit up. She decided to wait outside and stage a casual encounter. 1 hour later, Zhang Yi walked out of the restaurant. Fang Yuqing deliberately exposed her pale neck and called out in a sweet voice. Zhang Yi, what a coincidence. Zhang Yi looked up, and a flash of murderous intent crossed his eyes. Fang Yuqing felt a chill run through her entire body. Stammering nervously, she asked, what was wrong? Zhang Yi withdrew his gaze and simply said he had mistaken her for someone else. Killing Fang Yuqing now would be far too merciful. She needed to repay her debt slowly, in the middle of the apocalypse. His priority was to build a truly secure shelter. Only by surviving could Zhang Yi watch his enemies suffer a fate worse than death. Fang Yuqing and Lin Seining still believed Zhang Yi was a secret rich heir, so they eagerly followed him. Zhang Yi could not be bothered to explain and simply headed toward the supermarket. Along the way, Fang Yuqing repeatedly brushed her hand against his before pretending to act shy. Watching her pathetic performance, Zhang Yi found it almost laughable. The moment he reached the food section, Zhang Yi began sweeping products into his carts. Sausages, instant noodles, self-heating hot pots. He grabbed everything he could find. In his previous life, Zhang Yi had once been forced to stretch a single packet of instant noodles across 2 days. That terrible hunger had left him with an almost instinctive craving for food. Fang Yuqing asked whether he was preparing for a camping trip. Zhang Yi casually said yes. She immediately became suspicious. Why would a rich heir eat things like this while camping? Still, Feng Yuqing wanted to get closer to him, so she offered to help. That was exactly what Zhang Yi had been waiting for. Since they had volunteered themselves, he might as well use them as free labor. Zhang Yi filled 3 entire shopping carts. He deliberately handed Feng Yuqing and Lin Caining the cart carrying roughly 450 to 550 pounds of beef and lamb. By the time they finished pushing it, both women were drenched in sweat. Feng Yuqing continued pretending to be delicate and told Zhang Yi that he owed her a meal. Zhang Yi agreed without hesitation, saying he was busy and would treat her next month. After all, next month was when the apocalypse would begin. At the register, Zhang Yi spent more than 10,000 yuan. Money would soon become worthless. The supplies inside his home were what would truly keep him alive. 3 carts packed with supplies immediately drew attention when they entered his residential complex. Zhang Yi did not care if the neighbors knew. He wanted them to see everything he had, while knowing they would never get a single bite. Auntie Lin, a shameless freeloader, walked over and reached for an imported steak. Zhang Yi snatched it out of her hand. "If you want one, buy it yourself. Reach for my food again, and I'll slap you." Auntie Lin flew into a rage. She accused Zhang Yi of bullying an elderly woman and insisted she would pay him later. Zhang Yi could not be bothered to argue. He simply called Feng Yuqing and Lin Caining over and left. The woman continued cursing behind him, but Zhang Yi ignored every word. After sending the 2 scheming women away, he stored all the supplies inside his alternate dimension and began writing his next checklist. Food was handled. Next came the safe house, medicine, and weapons. Every one of them would be essential once the apocalypse arrived. The first thing Zhang Yi did after waking up the next morning was inspect his alternate dimension. The vegetables and fruit he had stored overnight were still perfectly fresh, but the live fish were dead. It seemed that time remained frozen inside the alternate dimension, but living creatures could not survive there. Zhang Yi could not hide inside it himself, but he could use it to store unlimited amounts of prepared food. Zhang Yi immediately called the largest 5-star hotel in Tianhai City. He wanted enough banquet food to keep a feast running for 3 days and 3 nights, a total of 500 tables. The employee on the phone was stunned by the size of the order and asked Zhang Yi to wait. A moment later, the hotel manager, Chen Dingfang, personally took the call and asked for his name. Zhang Yi introduced himself and confirmed that he wanted food for 500 banquet tables. Chen Dingfang warned him that the order would cost more than 1 million yuan and require a 200,000 yuan deposit. Zhang Yi told him to send over the bank details, then transferred the money without hesitation. The moment the deposit arrived, the manager shouted for the kitchen to stop accepting delivery orders and focus entirely on Zhang Yi's banquet. In 1 month, money would be nothing more than scrap paper. For now, however, Zhang Yi needed to spend it as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, he only had 1 million yuan left, nowhere near enough to complete his plans. He immediately thought about his 120 square meter apartment in central Tianhai City. The property was worth more than 5 million yuan. Since he would never have to repay the mortgage after the apocalypse, borrowing against it was practically free money. The bank ultimately approved only 4 million yuan, but Zhang Yi did not negotiate. He signed the agreement immediately. Combined with his remaining cash, he now had 5 million yuan. That was still nowhere near enough to buy weapons and turn his apartment into an apocalyptic fortress. While Zhang Yi was considering his options, a yellow-haired man stopped him on the street and asked whether he urgently needed money. The man turned out to be a loan shark. Zhang Yi immediately had an idea. Pretending to be troubled, he claimed his family business desperately needed working capital, but the bank was taking too long to release the funds. The yellow-haired man assured Zhang Yi that he had come to the right people. Zhang Yi asked for 5 million yuan. The man immediately agreed and took him to their lending company. The boss, Chen Xiang, wore an expensive designer suit, but the viciousness in his eyes was impossible to hide. He asked how much Zhang Yi wanted. Zhang Yi answered without hesitation, 5 million yuan. Chen Xiang warned him that 5 million was no small amount, so the interest would be extremely high. His associate immediately joined in, claiming Zhang Yi could easily repay everything once his business recovered. Zhang Yi saw straight through their routine. He told them the high interest did not matter as long as they were willing to lend him the money. They demanded 40% interest, meaning Zhang Yi would have to repay 7 million after borrowing 5 million. They also required collateral. Pretending to struggle with the decision, Zhang Yi gritted his teeth and produced his property deed. The apartment was worth 5.5 million yuan. Zhang Yi also offered to include his Mercedes, worth 300,000, as additional collateral. Chen Xiang confirmed that the property deed was genuine, but deliberately acted hesitant. Chen Xiang claimed the apartment was worth 4 million yuan at most, so lending 5 million would be too risky. Zhang Yi immediately pretended to plead with him, saying he would accept 4.5 million as long as the money arrived that day. Chen Sham continued insisting that the deal was not profitable. After a long round of calculated bargaining, the two sides finally settled on 4 million yuan. The money arrived in Zhang Yi's account that same day. Zhang Yi happily walked away with the cash, leaving behind two fools who believed they had made a fortune. They had no idea they would never get their hands on that apartment. Zhang Yi now had 9 million yuan. By using deposits to leverage future orders, his actual purchasing power had already reached tens of millions. Zhang Yi drove directly to the famous War Dragon security company in Tianhai City. In his previous life, he had heard that this company once built a billion-dollar safe house for the son of the country's richest man. Account manager Wu Huairen entered the reception room and politely asked what Zhang Yi needed. Zhang Yi got straight to the point. He wanted War Dragon Security to build him a safe house. Wu Huairen's expression immediately became serious. Zhang Yi asked whether they could convert an entire apartment on the 24th floor into a fortified shelter. Wu Huairen assured him they could, finally putting Zhang Yi's mind at ease. The entire reason Zhang Yi had chosen to remain in this apartment was so he could personally watch everyone who had betrayed him die. Wu Huairen handed him a tablet and explained that the company offered fully customized designs. As long as the client could afford it, they could even construct a shelter 100 meters underground. Zhang Yi had only 1 month, so he needed the fastest and most effective plan. He rapidly selected the available upgrades, starting with 200mm thick, aerospace-grade alloy walls, top-grade bulletproof glass, a bank vault security door, an air filtration and poison defense system, and complete surveillance with no blind spots were all added to the order. Zhang Yi had only one goal: to create an impenetrable steel fortress that no one could ever break into. When Wu Huairen saw the final order, his eyes widened in disbelief. Wu Huairen revealed that he used to be a mercenary. With this configuration, all Zhang Yi needed were some weapons, and the apartment would become a genuine military fortress. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed. Lowering his voice, he asked whether Wu Huairen had any way to obtain firearms. He lied that he had offended someone dangerous, and that a defense without any means of fighting back would never be enough. Wu Huairen's expression turned stern as he emphasized that War Dragon was a legitimate company. Zhang Yi reminded him that this order was worth more than 8 million yuan. If Wu Huairen helped him, Zhang Yi promised to make it worth his while. After considering it for a moment, Wu Huairen said he could not obtain the weapons himself, but he could quietly ask around. As for the safe house, it would be finished within 15 days. After signing the contract, Zhang Yi paid a 1 million yuan deposit. As for the remaining balance, War Dragon would never get the chance to collect it. The moment Zhang Yi left the security company, he called Liu Yang, the owner of a hunting range. He offered to pay a premium for a large shipment of crossbows, compound bows, and air rifles. Liu Yang warned him that those weapons could never be used to hurt anyone. Zhang Yi assured him he was overthinking it. He claimed he was merely preparing for a hunting trip in Africa. Liu Yang warned Zhang Yi to watch out for the insects there, and told him to come collect the equipment when he had time. Zhang Yi immediately drove to Xishan and returned with a full load: 5 heavy-duty crossbows, 3 compound bows, 600 arrows, and 2 Damascus steel hunting knives filled almost the entire trunk. Surrounded by these devastating weapons, Zhang Yi finally felt an overwhelming sense of security. At sunset, Zhang Yi sat alone, enjoying another hot pot. The thought that he might never taste it again after the apocalypse made him summon a server and ordered 10,000 packets of hot pot base on the spot. The server froze, convinced Zhang Yi was causing trouble. When the restaurant manager rushed over to confirm the order, Zhang Yi skipped the explanations and charged more than 1 million yuan to his card. The manager could barely contain his excitement and threw in another 500 packets for free. By the time Zhang Yi returned to his residential complex, an enormous convoy of hotel catering trucks had already arrived. 20 or 30 vehicles completely clogged the entrance. The neighbors stared in disbelief. Several hundred tables of 5-star banquet food had to cost well over 1 million yuan. They had always known Zhang Yi was reasonably well off, but now they began to suspect he was a secret millionaire. Fang Yuqing pressed her lips together, her eyes burning with interest. She approached Zhang Yi and asked whether his family was celebrating something. She even emphasized that they were close friends and told him not to treat her like an outsider. Zhang Yi handed Mr. Yu, the security guard, a cigarette and asked him to let the trucks through. When he turned back to Fang Yuqing, he gave a cold smile and explained that the food had been purchased for his boss. Even the expensive restaurant meal from the other day had supposedly been his boss's treat. Zhang Yi deliberately sighed and said he wished he actually had that kind of money. Fan Yuqing's expression changed instantly. She hurriedly asked whether he was joking. Zhang Yi explained that his parents had died when he was young, and that he was nothing more than a warehouse supervisor. How could someone like him possibly be rich? Fan Yuqing's expression shifted repeatedly, but she deliberately emphasized the word friends, insisting they would always be best friends whether Zhang Yi was a rich heir or not. A skilled manipulator never completely burns a bridge. She always keeps a few backup options, in case she needs them later. Zhang Yi secretly laughed at her act. The shipment was so enormous that Zhang Yi temporarily borrowed the property management company's underground storage area. When the delivery workers stepped away, he transferred 500 tables worth of abalone, sea cucumber, shark fin, fish maw, Australian lobster, and truffle dishes into his alternate dimension. Combined with the thousands of additional banquet tables he later ordered from all 8 major traditions of Chinese cuisine, Zhang Yi had secured enough prepared food to last half a lifetime. That evening, Wu Huairen from War Dragon Security called to inform Zhang Yi that the construction crew would begin work the following day. Wu Huairen then lowered his voice and said he had found a source for the items Zhang Yi wanted, though the price would be steep. Zhang Yi told him that as long as the quality was good, money was no problem. Wu Huairen promised to send him the transaction location in 3 days. Early the next morning, 3 black vans belonging to War Dragon Security entered the complex. The workers began taking measurements, while the neighbors gathered nearby, waiting to laugh at Zhang Yi. They mocked him for stockpiling food one day and renovating his apartment the next, claiming he had clearly lost his mind. Fan Yuqing and Lin Chaining also abandoned their hopes of landing him as a wealthy husband. Zhang Yi could not have cared less. In 1 month, these people would finally discover who the real joke was. Zhang Yi then drove to the Walmart warehouse. The massive facility covered more than 1 million square meters and contained tens of billions of yuan in supplies. Tens of thousands of cases of cola, drones, generators, and barrels of gasoline filled the building. If an item could be sold in a supermarket, this warehouse probably had it. Looking at the mountains of goods before him, Zhang Yi could barely contain his excitement. As the warehouse supervisor, he knew every blind spot in the surveillance system. He needed only 10 minutes to disable the cameras and empty the entire facility. But now was not the time to act. He could not risk alerting anyone before he was ready. Zhang Yi first visited the pharmaceutical warehouse next door and found its manager, Zhou Hairun. The man had a history of stealing medicine from the warehouse and secretly selling it for profit. Zhang Yi offered to buy several crates of specialized medicine for various illnesses and promised to pay twice the normal price. Zhou Hairun's eyes immediately lit up and he accepted the deal on the spot. Zhang Yi spent 3 million yuan on 5 enormous crates of medicine, more than enough to last several lifetimes. With the medicine secured, Zhang Yi returned to the warehouse manager's office, made up a random excuse, and requested 20 days of leave. For the rest of the month, Zhang Yi planned to stay in a 5-star hotel and comfortably wait for the apocalypse to arrive. As he left the office, he happened to see Fan Yuqing standing by the coffee machine, swaying her hips as she poured herself a cup. Zhou Peng, another devoted simp who lived in their residential complex, stood beside her with a pair of concert tickets. He eagerly invited Fan Yuqing to attend the show with him. Zhang Yi gave Zhou Peng a long, meaningful look. In his previous life, Zhou Peng had also played a part in Zhang Yi's death. Fan Yuqing gladly accepted the attention but claimed she had already made plans with a friend that day. Zhou Peng looked devastated. Those tickets had cost him an entire month's salary. Standing nearby, Zhang Yi gave him an amused smile. This pathetic simp was destined to lose everything. The moment Zhou Peng noticed Zhang Yi smiling, his embarrassment transformed into anger. Zhou Peng accused Zhang Yi of being shameless. How could a grown man force a woman to carry heavy supplies and leave Fan Yuqing with an aching back? Fan Yuqing pretended to rub her waist, claiming she was not used to physical labor and might have strained something. Zhou Peng immediately played the hero and demanded that Zhang Yi give her 500 yuan for medical expenses. Zhang Yi tore into him without hesitation. Fan Yuqing had volunteered to carry the supplies, and Zhou Peng had no right to interfere. Zhang Yi's furious response stunned them both. The normally mild-tempered man had suddenly become terrifying, and Zhou Peng, who had no money, power, or influential background, immediately lost his nerve. Zhou Peng stammered that he had only wanted to discuss the matter. Zhang Yi gave him a cold laugh, turned around, and left. Zhang Yi checked directly into a 5-star hotel. The room cost more than 1,000 yuan per night, but he did not care. He still had several million yuan, and every last bit of it needed to be spent before the apocalypse. That night, the two-faced Fang Yuqing unexpectedly messaged him first. She said she had seen the renovations at his apartment and noticed that he was stockpiling supplies. She wanted to know whether something was about to happen. Fang Yuqing might have been cruel, but she was not stupid. Zhang Yi replied coldly and told her nothing was going on. On the other end of the conversation, Fang Yuqing gritted her teeth as she stared at the screen. The backup man who once checked on her every day had suddenly become distant. It felt as though one of the men she had kept on the hook was finally getting away. She sent another message, saying they had barely spoken lately and that she was beginning to feel lonely. Zhang Yi glanced at his phone and ignored her. Over the next few days, Zhang Yi remained in his hotel suite. He continued ordering enormous quantities of banquet food, while practicing with his compound bows and crossbows. Thanks to his previous hunting experience and professional equipment, Zhang Yi became extremely accurate within a range of 15 meters. 3 days later, Wu Huairen helped Zhang Yi obtain 2 firearms and 100 rounds of ammunition. The heavy weapons in his hands gave him an even greater sense of security. Another week passed before Wu Huairen contacted Zhang Yi and asked him to inspect the finished safe house. 200mm aerospace-grade alloy panels had been installed throughout the apartment, yet nothing looked different from the outside. The ventilation system met military standards, while the poison defense and heating systems were rated for Arctic research stations. Zhang Yi also had access to all 300 security cameras throughout the building. When Zhang Yi reached the balcony, he discovered that the original floor-to-ceiling windows had been replaced with top-grade bulletproof glass. Even if the entire building collapsed, his apartment would remain intact. Zhang Yi was extremely satisfied. Wu Huiren handed him a document requiring the remaining balance to be paid within 3 months. Zhang Yi readily agreed while laughing wildly on the inside. With a deposit of only 1 million yuan, he had obtained an apocalyptic fortress worth more than 10 million. As for the remaining payment, War Dragon could collect it in his next life. While lying on the couch, Zhang Yi suddenly slapped his forehead. He had forgotten one of the most important supplies, water. Once temperatures dropped to -70°C, going outside to break ice for water would be suicide. Zhang Yi immediately ordered 100 enormous storage tanks, capable of holding a total of 500 cubic meters of water. The tanks arrived several hours later, causing the neighbors to gossip once again. Zhang Yi had installed steel plates a few days ago, and now he was buying water tanks. They joked that he was copying a movie and building his own doomsday bunker. They also mocked him for worrying about water shortages in a coastal city like Tianhai. In their eyes, Zhang Yi was panicking over nothing. Zhang Yi did not bother arguing. When the apocalypse arrived, they would finally learn who the real fools were. Mr. Yu, the security guard, approached him and kindly asked why he had purchased so many tanks. He also offered to help. Mr. Yu was a military veteran. In Zhang Yi's previous life, he had given all his food to save a mother and her daughter, eventually starving to death himself. Remembering what kind of man he was, Zhang Yi decided to offer him a warning. Zhang Yi told Mr. Yu that he had received inside information suggesting the coming winter would be extremely dangerous. He advised the older man to stock up on instant noodles and drinking water. Mr. Yu frowned and asked whether the information was reliable. Zhang Yi pointed toward his supplies and explained that instant noodles had a long shelf life. Even if nothing happened, buying extra would still provide peace of mind. Mr. Yu nodded thoughtfully. He had clearly taken Zhang Yi's warnings seriously. Mr. Tang, a neighborhood contrarian who loved starting arguments, walked over and told Zhang Yi to stop spreading rumors before the authorities dragged him in for questioning. Zhang Yi rolled his eyes and walked away. The only people he could save were those willing to listen. For the next 20 days, Zhang Yi spent money recklessly on food and entertainment, while training relentlessly at the shooting range. Everyone around him treated him like a joke. Even Fang Yuqing deliberately distanced herself from him. Zhang Yi did not care in the slightest. Only 3 days remained before the apocalypse. Although Zhang Yi had already collected an enormous amount of supplies, it still was not enough to give him absolute peace of mind. His attention returned to Walmart's massive warehouse. In his previous life, rumors claimed that the company's executives had received an early warning and were secretly relocating supplies. If that was true, then even if Zhang Yi emptied the warehouse, the executives would be too overwhelmed by the coming chaos to conduct a proper investigation. This was the perfect time to act. Zhang Yi reported to work as usual. When several longtime co-workers lowered their guard, he secretly slipped sleeping pills into their tea. Before long, every employee on duty had fallen asleep. Zhang Yi entered the surveillance room and disabled every security camera. It took him only 10 minutes. He knew the system like the back of his hand. Zhang Yi changed into shoes 2 sizes too large to disguise his footprints, put on a pair of gloves, and took a deep breath before the enormous warehouse. It was time to stock up. Zhang Yi swept his right eye across the shelves. With a single thought, an entire row vanished. More than 10,000 tons of bottled water, red wine, and imported liquor disappeared from the beverage section and entered his alternate dimension. In the fuel section, he collected more than 10,000 cases of smokeless coal, barrels of gasoline, and industrial alcohol. The supply was enough to keep him warm for centuries. In the food section, tens of thousands of tons of canned goods, roasted chickens, and premium snacks formed several small mountains. In the blink of an eye, every last item disappeared. Baseball bats, skiing equipment, and dozens of top-grade winter suits capable of withstanding temperatures of minus 100 degrees Celsius were also transferred into his alternate dimension. 2 hours later, Zhang Yi had completely emptied the warehouse covering more than 1 million square meters. As he stared at the vast, empty building, Zhang Yi felt deeply satisfied. Even if a new ice age consumed the world, he would still be able to live in perfect comfort. After returning to his post, Zhang Yi destroyed every piece of evidence. He then took a small sip of the tea laced with sleeping pills, laid his head on the desk, and pretended to pass out. He had no idea how much time had passed when someone shook him awake. One of his coworkers shouted in panic that the entire warehouse had been emptied. Zhang Yi slowly opened his eyes and pretended to be confused. A moment later, he slammed his hands on the desk and jumped to his feet in shock. With a trembling voice, he asked, how could more than 10 billion yuan in supplies disappear in the blink of an eye? His co-workers were just as nervous, but not one of them mentioned that they had fallen asleep while on duty. The entire situation was absurd. Even with a fleet of cargo trucks, moving that much merchandise would have taken several days. There was no way a few security guards could have done it. This disaster was far above their pay grade, so their only option was to report it to upper management. Everyone quickly agreed. They only made a few thousand yuan a month. Why would they risk their lives over company property? Zhang Yi called the manager and told him that the entire warehouse was empty. The man on the other end froze in disbelief, convinced Zhang Yi had to be joking. A fake smile appeared on Zhang Yi's face. He had secured more than 10 billion yuan in supplies. The apocalypse could bring everything it had. Walmart's executives flew into a rage after learning that more than 10 billion yuan in merchandise had vanished. The general manager's face turned whiter than snow. The police immediately opened an investigation, but Zhang Yi remained perfectly calm. Millions of cubic meters of supplies had vanished without leaving a single vehicle track outside the warehouse. The only logical conclusion was that someone inside Walmart had orchestrated the theft. Zhang Yi cooperated with the interrogation for the entire night. Since the police had no evidence against him, they eventually had no choice but to release him. He was ordered not to leave Tianhai City, but Zhang Yi had never planned to leave in the first place. Only 2 days remained before the new ice age began. News of Walmart's impossible robbery dominated every channel, and wild theories spread across the internet. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi relaxed on his couch, completely at peace, with more than 10 billion yuan in supplies under his control. At 2 in the morning, the moment he had been waiting for finally arrived. Zhang Yi had already sealed the entire apartment and lit the fireplace. Holding a bottle of beer, he stared intently out the window. Without warning, an unnatural white light appeared on the horizon, turning the night as bright as day. 2 seconds later, the light vanished, and the world fell silent again. Most people were still asleep and noticed nothing unusual. Zhang Yi, however, felt a chill run down his back. The gamma ray burst had arrived. Several minutes later, snowflakes as large as thumbnails began drifting from the sky. In less than 2 minutes, the light snowfall had become a violent blizzard. The wind howled through the streets, and the entire city was swallowed by white in an instant. This was the power of nature. Destruction never bothered to announce itself. Zhang Yi nervously checked the indoor thermometer. It read 32.6 degrees Celsius. The fireplace burned fiercely, while the safe house's top-grade insulation performed exactly as intended. The apartment was almost too warm. Zhang Yi finally relaxed, reduced the amount of charcoal in the fireplace, and checked his phone. The internet had already erupted. People were shocked that the temperature had suddenly dropped below minus 10 degrees Celsius, and many were asking whether they would still have to work the next day. Others excitedly posted pictures of the snow, saying southern China had never seen anything like it. They were thrilled at the thought of getting a day off work. Zhang Yi shook his head as he looked through their cheerful photos. This was only the beginning. The blizzard would continue for 3 full months, while temperatures fell to minus 70 degrees Celsius. By then, none of these people would be in the mood to admire the snow. The next morning, a phone call woke Zhang Yi from his sleep. Fan Yuqing was calling. She asked whether Zhang Yi had known about the sudden temperature drop in advance. Otherwise, why had he stockpiled so many supplies? Zhang Yi pushed aside his thin velvet blanket. The apartment was so warm that a light layer of sweat covered his body. He walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window and saw that the snow had already buried the city up to the first floor of the buildings. Zhang Yi casually claimed that a friend had mentioned the possibility in passing. Fang Yuqing immediately blamed him for not warning her and complained that she was now freezing because of him. The woman actually had the nerve to blame Zhang Yi for her situation. He hung up, walked into the bathroom, and enjoyed a long hot shower. Afterward, Zhang Yi took premium Wagyu beef and red wine from his alternate dimension. For breakfast, he enjoyed steak with pasta. On television, 2 news anchors wore heavy down jackets as they reported that temperatures around the world had plunged by 70 to 100 degrees Celsius. They repeatedly told the public not to panic. The broadcast also claimed that the snow disaster would pass quickly. Zhang Yi scoffed at the report. The temperature displayed in the corner of the screen had already fallen to minus 65 degrees Celsius. Zhang Yi wore nothing but pajamas, as he enjoyed the constant temperature provided by his 8 million yuan safe house. He did not feel the cold at all. His phone rang again. It was still Fang Yuqing. She demanded to know why he had hung up, then explained that the snow was too deep for her to leave home. She wanted to borrow some food and promised to repay him after the storm. The two-faced manipulator was not stupid. She already understood how valuable food had become. This time, Zhang Yi decided to have some fun with her. Zhang Yi took a selfie, showing himself in pajamas beside the steak and red wine on his table, then sent it directly to Fang Yuqing. He told her that he had almost run out of food. All he had left for breakfast was the freshly cooked steak in front of him. Fang Yuqing sat wrapped in 2 comforters, her entire body trembling from the cold. Her heater was set to 40 degrees Celsius, yet the temperature inside her apartment remained below freezing. Her eyes widened when she saw Zhang Yi's selfie. He had premium Wagyu beef and a bottle of wine worth 20 or 30,000 yuan. She was nearly freezing to death while Zhang Yi lived in complete luxury. Intense jealousy twisted Fang Yuqing's expression. Using a sweet, spoiled voice, she told him that she wanted steak and red wine too. Zhang Yi burst out laughing. Even now, this woman still treated him like the obedient simp he had once been. Zhang Yi replied, "If you want some, go buy it at the supermarket." Fang Yuqing furiously accused him of not being a real man. She had given him the perfect chance to impress her, yet he was too clueless to take it. Fang Yuqing gritted her teeth in rage. Still, she refused to beg because she was determined to maintain her untouchable princess image. Zhang Yi stopped responding and opened the homeowners group chat to enjoy the show. Auntie Lin from the neighborhood committee was already ordering everyone around. Auntie Lin told everyone to remain calm, claiming the snow disaster would pass within 2 or 3 days. She warned them not to panic buy supplies and insisted that they trust the authorities. Someone argued that the snow was too severe to risk going without supplies. Auntie Lin immediately responded that panic buying would only drive up prices. She even threatened to report anyone who stockpiled supplies for spreading public panic. Zhang Yi gave a cold laugh when he read the message. This was only the first day of the apocalypse, and the supermarkets still had products on their shelves. Auntie Lin's intimidation would cost many residents their final chance of survival. Suddenly, Auntie Lin tagged Zhang Yi in the group chat. She said he had already stockpiled plenty of supplies and should not set a bad example for everyone else. She also warned that if she caught him buying more supplies, she would deal with him personally. The old hag was clearly still angry because Zhang Yi had refused to give her the imported steak. Unfortunately for her, whatever little authority she once possessed was now completely worthless. Zhang Yi asked whether Auntie Lin would accept responsibility if the snow continued and everyone ran out of food. The group chat immediately exploded. Many of the residents had already grown tired of Auntie Lin's behavior. Once Zhang Yi spoke up, others quickly supported him. Auntie Lin began to panic and hated Zhang Yi even more for challenging her. She continued accusing him of spreading panic and breaking the law. Zhang Yi laughed out loud. Even at the end of the world, Auntie Lin was still trying to boss everyone around. Zhang Yi said it was so cold outside that he would refuse to leave even if someone begged him. Everyone else was free to make their own decisions. He already had enough supplies to last 10 lifetimes. As for the people who believed Auntie Lin's nonsense, they could suffer from hunger and cold on their own. Zhang Yi remained inside his temperature-controlled safe house, wearing thin pajamas and playing the latest gaming console. A life without work, office politics, or social obligations was even better than life before the apocalypse. Just then, his phone rang again. It was the annoying Auntie Lin. She had called on everyone in the group to help clear the snow, but almost no one volunteered, so she decided to target Zhang Yi directly. Zhang Yi glanced outside. The snow was already 3 meters deep. Clearing it by hand was completely impossible. He told her that anyone who stepped outside in this weather would freeze solid. They could discuss clearing the snow after the blizzard stopped. Other residents immediately agreed. It was already minus 70 degrees Celsius outside. Anyone who left the building would suffer severe frostbite. Auntie Lin became furious and used the neighborhood committee's name to order Zhang Yi to come outside. She even threatened to punish anyone who opposed the committee once the snow disaster ended. The residents were furious, but too afraid to argue. Zhang Yi reviewed the chat and noticed that Auntie Lin had only tagged mild-tempered residents who rarely fought back. She had not dared to mention Chen Zhenghao, the gang leader in apartment 601, or Xu Hao, the wealthy heir in apartment 802. Zhang Yi decided to expose her hypocrisy in front of everyone. He asked why the neighborhood committee was not leading the effort. Its clearing the snow was supposedly for everyone's benefit. He then pointed out that Auntie Lin only ordered around honest, mild-tempered residents because she thought they were easy to bully. When it came to people like Chen Zhenghao and Xu Hao, she did not even have the courage to speak. The group chat erupted again. The residents cheered and said Zhang Yi had finally voiced what everyone else was thinking. After being publicly exposed, Auntie Lin was completely humiliated and sent several long voice messages in a row. She called certain residents selfish, petty, and unwilling to contribute to the community. She labeled them a danger to everyone and threatened to call the police if Zhang Yi continued insulting her. Zhang Yi burst out laughing. The apocalypse had already begun, yet this woman still thought threatening to call the police would frighten anyone. Auntie Lin had wanted to use Zhang Yi as an example to reinforce her authority. Instead, Zhang Yi was determined to tear away the last piece of her false dignity. He tagged Chen Zhenghao and Xu Hao directly, challenging Auntie Lin to order them outside if she truly had the courage. In Zhang Yi's previous life, Chen Zhenghao had been the gang leader who attacked his door with a splitting axe. Xu Hao had been the first wealthy heir to attack Zhang Yi with a knife. Auntie Lin had backed herself into a corner. With no way out, she reluctantly tagged both men. She claimed the residential complex belonged to everyone and asked them to contribute by helping clear the snow. Chen Zhenghao quickly responded with an angry voice message. He asked whether she was blind and could not see how deep the snow was. If she tagged him again, he threatened to kill her. The entire group chat burst into laughter. Xu Hao followed with his own message, saying the snow had nothing to do with him because he did not need to work. He even claimed that without the property fees he paid, everyone else would have starved long ago. The residents were furious but powerless to challenge him. Auntie Lin had been viciously humiliated, yet she did not dare answer either man. Instead, she directed all her anger toward Zhang Yi. She privately messaged him and asked whether he was deliberately trying to make her life difficult. Zhang Yi smiled. He had never expected her to volunteer for another round of humiliation. Zhang Yi told her to stop pretending. She had been too frightened to respond when those men insulted her, yet she came running to him because she needed someone easier to bully. Zhang Yi made it clear that he was no longer an easy target. Auntie Lin trembled in fear and immediately blocked him. Someone who bullied the weak and feared the strong could only comfort herself by fantasizing about confiscating Zhang Yi's supplies later. Unfortunately, several honest residents in the group were still manipulated into going downstairs to clear the snow. Just after chasing Auntie Lin away, Zhang Yi received another WeChat call. This time, Chen Zhenghao was calling. Zhang Yi's decision to use Chen Zhenghao as an example in the group had clearly angered him. Narrowing his eyes, Zhang Yi answered the call. Zhang Yi almost hoped the fool would come looking for trouble. His newly completed safe house still needed a live test. The instant the call connected, Chen Zhenghao unleashed a barrage of profanity and claimed he had 100 different ways to kill Zhang Yi. Chen Zhenghao had spent years terrorizing the neighborhood and could not tolerate the slightest challenge. Zhang Yi laughed coldly and called him nothing more than criminal trash. Then he hung up and blocked him. The entire exchange felt incredibly satisfying. Zhang Yi activated the building-wide surveillance system and saw the door to Chen Zhenghao's 6th-floor apartment swing open. Chen Zhenghao wore a thick down jacket, but deliberately left it unzipped to expose his tattoos. Carrying a baseball bat, he stormed toward the elevator. The instant he stepped outside, the minus 70-degree wind gave him a brutal reality check. His body shrank from the cold, and he quickly rubbed his hands together before entering the elevator. Zhang Yi remained seated on the couch, calmly loading and cocking his hand crossbow. The weapon was powerful enough to pierce a 660-pound wild boar. As an extra precaution, Zhang Yi also carried a gun. He stepped onto a chair and opened a firing port, positioned 2 meters above the armored door. The port could only be opened from inside the apartment. When Chen Zhenghao arrived, he began screaming insults and slammed his baseball bat against the 20-centimeter thick alloy security door. The impact made Chen Zhenghao's hands go numb, but the door did not move an inch. Auntie Lin and Feng Yuqing watched with cruel excitement, hoping Zhang Yi and Chen Zhenghao would destroy each other. Zhang Yi laughed loudly and mocked Chen Zhenghao for doing nothing but barking like a dog. He warned Chen Zhenghao that if he caused any more trouble, Zhang Yi would cripple his remaining leg as well. The homeowners group chat erupted in shock. Only then did everyone realize that Zhang Yi had injured Chen Zhenghao before. Chen Zhenghao completely lost control and immediately called his men for backup. Before long, more than a dozen ruthless thugs arrived, carrying machetes and baseball bats. They even held wooden boards in front of themselves as shields, while charging toward Zhang Yi's apartment. The men repeatedly attacked the door while shouting that they were going to kill Zhang Yi. However, the 20-centimeter thick alloy door barely lost any paint. Instead, the repeated impacts left the attackers' hands numb. One of the men cried out in alarm. The entire door was solid metal. There was no possible way for them to break through. Zhang Yi was playing a video game in his living room, but the constant noise outside was getting on his nerves. He mocked the attackers, asking whether they had skipped breakfast and telling them to hit harder. The thugs became even angrier and attacked the door with renewed force. Zhang Yi put down his controller, connected a hose in the kitchen, and climbed up to the firing port. At -70°C, ordinary water was one of the deadliest weapons available. Zhang Yi announced that he would help them cool off, then soaked the entire group with the hose. More than a dozen drenched thugs fled back to Chen Zhenghao apartment, trembling uncontrollably. There were not enough dry clothes to go around, so several grown men had to huddle together for warmth, creating an extremely awkward scene. Chen Zhenghao slammed the table and demanded an explanation. His men complained that Zhang Yi had attacked them with a hose, and that the armored door was completely impossible to break. Chen Zhenghao frowned before giving a cold laugh. Even an impenetrable steel shell had to possess a weakness. Zhang Yi could not remain inside forever. He ordered his men to guard the apartment and beat Zhang Yi to death the moment he stepped outside. The thugs shivered as they voiced their agreement, never realizing that Zhang Yi had no intention of leaving his warm, paradise-like home. That afternoon, Mr. Yu and several honest residents attempted to clear the snow downstairs. Auntie Lin, who had ordered everyone else to work, was nowhere to be seen. They struggled against snow 2 or 3 meters deep, but their efforts were pointless. Every patch they cleared was immediately buried again. Before long, the extreme cold forced everyone back inside. Zhang Yi took out Australian lobster and beef Wellington from his alternate dimension, adding Huangshan pastries and cola. His apartment remained at a comfortable 27°C as he relaxed on the couch in his pajamas. Television channels continued broadcasting inspirational slogans, claiming the authorities have the situation under control and were launching a coordinated offensive against the snow disaster. The news insisted conditions were improving. Zhang Yi merely shook his head. Against nature's overwhelming destructive power, those claims were nothing more than denial. In the homeowners group chat, Auntie Lin continued calling for mutual assistance, but everyone ignored her. After 2 days of non-stop snow, panic began spreading. Fang Yuqing messaged Zhang Yi again, asking whether he was safe. She claimed her food was gone and asked him for some, promising to treat him to dinner later. Zhang Yi laughed coldly. Fang Yuqing could not possibly have finished all the instant noodles she bought. She simply did not want to endure any hardship. He casually photographed the lobster and steak on his table, and sent her the picture, saying this was all he normally had to eat. Feng Yuqing nearly exploded with anger. Lin Keining poked her head out from beneath the blankets. Her eyes burned with hunger when she saw the photograph. They had eaten nothing but instant noodles for days, and were nearly losing their minds. Lin Keining criticized Zhang Yi for selfishly enjoying the food without thinking about Fang Yuqing, especially after claiming he liked her. Fang Yuqing was equally angry, but she could not hide the hunger in her eyes. She assumed Zhang Yi was deliberately tempting her with food to force her into giving him a chance. In Fang Yuqing's mind, thinking a little food could make her agree to become his girlfriend was unbelievably naive. Lin Keining suggested offering Zhang Yi the privilege of having dinner with Fang Yuqing, provided he brought the food. That way, Fang Yuqing could preserve her dignity while still eating the lobster. Fang Yuqing reluctantly nodded and decided to give Zhang Yi one opportunity. She messaged him, saying they had not spent time together recently, and inviting him to dinner at her apartment. Zhang Yi laughed when he read the message. He asked whether Fang Yuqing was paying for dinner, and thanked her in advance. Her face immediately turned pale with rage. She had offered Zhang Yi a chance to buy her dinner, yet he somehow expected her to provide the meal. Fan Yiqing threw down her phone and called him a hopeless cheapskate who deserved to remain single. She moved Zhang Yi even farther down her list of backup men and swore she would never speak to him again. After insulting him for some time without receiving an apology, Lin Saining tried another tactic. She privately warned Zhang Yi that Fan Yiqing was angry and that the consequences would be severe. Zhang Yi chuckled. One played the victim while the other applied pressure, the classic good cop bad cop routine. Zhang Yi had seen through their game long ago. Lin Saining was highly skilled at manipulating people through guilt. She told Zhang Yi to deliver his steak and lobster immediately, claiming that once Fan Yiqing was moved by the gesture, he would finally have a chance with her. Begging for food while pretending they were doing him a favor was truly disgusting. Zhang Yi replied that he did not have much food left and only had enough for himself. Lin Saining called him an idiot. She claimed going hungry for 2 meals would be worth it if he could win Fan Yiqing over. Zhang Yi replied with a single, "Okay," then tossed his phone aside. Lin Saining nearly lost control. She returned to Fan Yiqing and exaggerated everything Zhang Yi had said. Pretending to be aloof, Fan Yiqing declared that no one should ever mention him in front of her again. Since Zhang Yi refused to cooperate, they turned to their other backup, Zhou Peng. Fan Yiqing sent one message, and within 5 minutes, Zhou Peng eagerly arrived with a backpack full of food. Zhou Peng pounded his chest and promised he would do anything for Fan Yiqing. Fan Yiqing showered him with sweet words to his face, but dropped the act the moment she turned away. She smeared that someone as pathetic as Zhou Peng actually dared to desire her. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi exercised at home while watching short-form dramas. His life was even more comfortable than before the apocalypse. Outside, however, panic had taken hold. Even with the heaters running constantly, indoor temperatures hovered around freezing. Refrigerators were running empty, and Auntie Lin's motivational speeches no longer worked. Zhang Yi ate roasted duck and checked the time. It was almost time. The real show was about to begin. Just then, the homeowners group chat erupted. The entire city had suddenly lost power, followed by the complete shutdown of the water supply. The authorities had held the system together for 3 days, but they could no longer keep it running. Power plants across the city stopped operating. Only a few nuclear facilities continued supplying government departments. Ordinary citizens were plunged into darkness. Zhang Yi activated his silent generator and opened the group chat. He already had more than 99 unread messages. People were demanding to know why both the electricity and water had stopped. Some said their apartments had fallen to minus 30 degrees Celsius without heating, and that people would freeze to death. Others confronted Auntie Lin, demanding to know why help had not arrived when she had promised everything would be fine. Auntie Lin trembled beneath 3 layers of blankets. Despite her confident public statements, she was more terrified than anyone else. The neighborhood committee's private chat had descended into chaos. Internal reports claimed that a global super blizzard and mass extinction event had begun. Major cities were collapsing, and anyone who wanted to survive would have to rely on themselves. Cold sweat covered Auntie Lin's body as she read the messages. A ruthless look entered her eyes. No matter what she had to do, she would survive. She opened the homeowners chat and told everyone not to panic, claiming emergency repairs were underway. During this crisis, she said, the entire residential complex would be placed under the neighborhood committee's unified control. Anyone who refused to cooperate would supposedly be arrested once the disaster ended. Zhang Yi scoffed at the threat. In his previous life, Auntie Lin had used the same lies to steal supplies from numerous residents. This time, Zhang Yi had no intention of exposing her. Whether those neighbors lived or died was none of his concern. He turned on the television and continued playing games. The loss of electricity and water had no effect on him. Zhang Yi possessed vast quantities of batteries and fuel, 500 tons of tap water, and tens of thousands of tons of bottled water. This minor crisis could not touch him. With the entire city deprived of electricity and running water, people accustomed to modern comforts began breaking down in temperatures far below freezing. The government might continue functioning through nuclear power, but ordinary people could only wait to die in darkness. Chen Zhenghao sat at home with his injured leg, nearly freezing to death. His men were even worse off. Without medicine or heat, several had developed fevers approaching 40 degrees Celsius and could do nothing but endure the illness. Zhang Yi played games and ate imported snacks in a room kept at 27 degrees. Other than not having a woman beside him, everything was perfect. But after the betrayal he experienced in his previous life, Zhang Yi would never allow anyone inside his safe house. His phone lit up again. Auntie Lin was causing more trouble. She announced that because the blizzard continued, The neighborhood committee would collect everyone's supplies and redistribute them for the good of the community. She threatened to punish anyone who refused, and reminded the residents that everyone had something they could not afford to lose. Zhang Yi laughed coldly. It was the same scheme from his previous life, using privileged information and fear to steal supplies. Everyone was trapped by the snow and running low on food. Why should they hand anything over to her? Residents who had stockpiled food opposed the plan, while those who had already run out supported Auntie Lin. The group chat dissolved into a furious argument. Fang Yuqing and Lin Chaining remained completely silent. Women like them would never surrender their own food, even if their lives depended on it. While Zhang Yi watched the argument, Auntie Lin privately messaged him. She pointed out that he worked in a warehouse and had previously purchased 3 carts of supplies. Since the community was suffering, he should set an example by contributing. She also promised to repay everything after the disaster. The old hag had clearly chosen Zhang Yi as her next target. In his previous life, Zhang Yi had been soft-hearted enough to surrender his supplies. He would never make that mistake again. Zhang Yi replied that this was wonderful news because he had also run out of food. Once Auntie Lin completed the collection, she should remember to give him a share. Auntie Lin nearly exploded. Convinced that Zhang Yi was an easy mark with plenty of food, she emphasized that this was an official order and demanded that he lead by example. Zhang Yi picked roasted lamb from between his teeth and lazily replied, "Even the landlord's pantry is empty." He then asked Auntie Lin, as a member of the neighborhood committee, to demonstrate her community spirit by bringing him several packets of instant noodles first. Auntie Lin became desperate, and her tone turned threatening. She claimed to represent the authorities, and promised that Zhang Yi would be punished for refusing to surrender his supplies. Zhang Yi told her to stop pretending she possessed authority. She was not even a formal government employee and could only fool gullible elderly residents. He challenged her to use whatever methods she had and said he would be waiting at home. Then he ended the call and blocked her in one smooth motion. Auntie Lin was furious but powerless. She did not even dare remove Zhang Yi from the group chat, fearing it would inspire everyone else to resist. She swallowed her anger and targeted more obedient residents instead. Over the next 2 days, she used a mixture of promises and threats to steal supplies from several households. As for Chen Zhenghao and Xu Hao, she did not even dare knock on their doors. By the 5th day of the apocalypse, ordinary families had exhausted their food and hostility filled the group chat. The residents Auntie Lin had deceived finally lost their patience. They demanded the promised redistribution. Their homes were out of food, so why had she not given them anything? Even residents who had contributed nothing joined the complaints, hoping to claim a free share. Auntie Lin ignored every message. She hid beneath 5 layers of blankets, her eyes filled with malice. She had worked hard to steal those supplies. Why would she ever give them back? The neighbors began insulting her, but Auntie Lin had already abandoned any concern for her reputation. Unfortunately, someone else had identified her as an easy target. Chen Zhenghao's group had never stockpiled food. Even their beer had frozen solid, and his men were nearly crazed with hunger. When Auntie Lin claimed she was coordinating community supplies, Chen Zhenghao heard only one thing: she had food. He decided to take everything she had stolen. Auntie Lin was happily eating the stolen crackers when her phone rang. The moment she saw Chen Zhenghao's name, her face turned pale. Chen Zhenghao ordered her to deliver the supplies or he would collect them himself. Auntie Lin tried to invoke her neighborhood committee position, but Chen Zhenghao told her that title meant nothing and hung up. Using a mop as a crutch, Chen Zhenghao led more than a dozen starving thugs toward Auntie Lin's apartment. Zhang Yi watched everything through the surveillance cameras. With his feet resting on the coffee table, he ate chips and recorded the footage to share in the homeowners group. Chen Zhenghao's men began attacking the door. Auntie Lin's ordinary security door could discourage honest people, but it could never stop actual criminals. Under repeated blows from crowbars and steel pipes, the lock quickly broke. Auntie Lin tried barricading the entrance with a table and couch, but it made no difference. Through the camera, Zhang Yi could see terror written across Auntie Lin's pale face. Chen Zhenghao's men stormed inside and searched the apartment like a pack of wolves. Before long, they had piled the stolen instant noodles and crackers into a small mountain. Auntie Lin cried and clung to Chen Zhenghao's leg, begging for mercy. He responded by kicking her in the face. Watching the brutal scene, Zhang Yi raised an eyebrow. Auntie Lin deserved what had happened, but the attack also marked the collapse of civilization's rules. The first crack had appeared in the ice, and soon the entire surface would shatter. Zhang Yi uploaded the recording to the group chat and praised Boss Chen for dealing with a scammer through decisive action. The residents cheered, with some even treating the robber like a hero. Zhang Yi shook his head and laughed. These fools did not understand that if Chen Zhenhao could rob Auntie Lin today, he could rob them tomorrow. Still, the fact that they had enough energy to chat meant they possessed some food. Everyone was merely pretending to be completely helpless. Zhang Yi ignored the drama, hung up a target, and practiced with his hand crossbow and compound bow. Survival in the apocalypse allowed no room for complacency. His 100 bullets were a final deterrent. Unless the situation became desperate, he had no reason to use them. After being beaten until she coughed up blood, Auntie Wen began begging for help in the group chat. The residents only mocked her. She admitted that everything had been her fault and pleaded with them to save her life. No one responded until Zhou Ke, a beautiful doctor, offered to examine her. However, she warned that she could not guarantee treatment would work. In Zhang Yi's previous life, Zhou Ke had been one of the few genuinely kind people. Half an hour later, Auntie Lin returned to the chat, desperately begging for blood-clotting medicine and antibiotics. Thanks to Zhou Ke's relentless efforts, Auntie Lin narrowly escaped death. On the 7th day of the apocalypse, snow sealed every exit and completely buried the first floor. Government rescue seemed impossible. While the internet filled with hopeless reports of a frozen world, Auntie Lin appeared to have lost her mind. She continued demanding supplies in the chat, but everyone ignored her. Xie Li Mei, a mother living on the 12th floor, finally broke the silence. She claimed that she and her child had not eaten for 2 days and offered to pay a high price for food. Someone offered several packets of instant noodles for 1,000 yuan each. Before the apocalypse, that price would have been absurd. Now, it was the price of survival. Xie Li Mei hesitated, but the wealthy heir Xu Hao suddenly entered the conversation and offered 2,000 yuan per packet. He would buy every packet available. Zhang Yi smiled faintly at his phone. Something remarkable had begun. The collapse of money itself. Xu Hao's offer of 2,000 yuan for 1 packet of noodles sent the entire group chat into chaos. Some residents panicked, while others accused him of driving up prices. Zhang Yi understood that this was merely money's final burst of relevance. Xu Hao was not foolish. He was using his wealth to purchase several weeks of survival from short-sighted neighbors. Anyone who sold life-saving food for a few thousand yuan would soon regret it more than anything in their lives. Xie Li Mei cried that her baby had no milk, but with Xu Hao offering such an enormous price, no one paid attention to her. In the end, only the kind-hearted Mr. Yu shared some food with her. Zhang Yi watched without interfering. From Zhang Yi's previous life memories, this seemingly helpless woman had survived remarkably well. Her innocent appearance concealed something much darker. Elsewhere, Feng Yuqing and Lin Chaining had exhausted their supplies. The formerly picky women now fought over the final half package of compressed crackers, and refused to waste even the crumbs that fell onto the floor. Wrapped in blankets, their faces pale and blue, they stared blankly at the crackers on the table. Unless they found another solution, they would starve within a week. Snow had fallen for 10 straight days and already buried the second floor. While Zhang Yi enjoyed himself inside his safe house, Fang Yuqing and Lin Keining were approaching complete starvation. Their remaining supplies consisted of 1 packet of crunchy noodles, 3 cups of instant noodles, and half a bottle of Lao Gan Ma chili sauce. The once elegant and arrogant beauties now faced the genuine possibility of starving to death. 1 packet of crunchy noodles could not fill their stomachs. Feng Yuqing asked what they would do if the snow continued and whether Zhou Peng still had any food. Lin Chaining explained that they had already drained Zhou Peng completely. He was now as thin as a zombie, and he had given his final 2 cups of noodles to Feng Yuqing. Lin Chaining refused to give up. They were both beautiful women. Surely, if they used a little charm, some man would agree to help them. Feng Yuqing smiled bitterly. She had already tried. She wanted a man's supplies while rejecting anyone who failed her standards. She even demanded someone at least 185 centimeters tall, with a secure government job. Even the older man downstairs had said it was too cold for him to do anything. In desperation, Lin Chaining suddenly remembered Zhang Yi. Feng Yuqing snorted. Unless Zhang Yi begged her on his knees, she refused to contact him first. She still clung to her untouchable princess persona, afraid that lowering herself would damage her chances of finding a wealthy heir later. Lin Keining began working on her. She argued that Zhang Yi definitely had supplies left. His recent coldness simply meant he felt unworthy of Feng Yuqing and had started giving up. Feng Yuqing found the explanation convincing. Lin Chaining added that Zhang Yi was only comfortably middle class, yet had pretended to be a rich heir, wasting their time and emotional investment. Still, he remained a high-quality backup. If Fan Yuqing showed him the slightest warmth, his hope would immediately return. Fan Yuqing's eyes lit up. That was right, backup men existed to be used whenever they were needed. Unable to endure the hunger any longer, Fan Yuqing sent Zhang Yi a voice message. In an exaggeratedly sweet voice, she complained that Zhang Yi had not contacted her for days and said she had regretted their argument for a long time. The sugary performance sent a strange shiver through Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi replied that he had not been feeling well and had not bothered checking his messages. Fan Yuqing immediately asked whether the cold had made him sick. Zhang Yi said he had caught a cold because his apartment was too warm. Fan Yuqing froze. It was minus 60 degrees outside, and she could barely sleep from the cold, yet Zhang Yi had become sick from excessive heat. Zhang Yi sent her a photograph. The fireplace blazed behind him, while his bare legs rested near a table covered with leftover lamb chops and a mountain of snacks. Fan Yuqing's eyes burned with jealousy. A few days earlier, she had burned a chair for warmth and nearly cried with relief. Zhang Yi had an actual fireplace. Convinced the picture had been edited, Fan Yuqing immediately started a video call. Zhang Yi answered because he wanted to watch her struggle in despair. On her side of the screen, the two women were wrapped in blankets, exhausted and without makeup. They looked like refugees. On Zhang Yi's side, he lounged on the couch in pajamas. His apartment was brightly lit, and premium ingredients such as dried scallops, abalone, caviar, and preserved truffles were stacked behind him. To Fan Yuqing and Lin Seining, the apartment looked like paradise. Seeing hunger twist Fan Yuqing's expression filled Zhang Yi with satisfaction. Without makeup, the woman he had once worshipped was nothing extraordinary. The contrast between his paradise and their frozen hell left both women speechless. Zhang Yi asked how they were doing and congratulated them on losing weight. The women were probably cursing him internally, since starvation was the only reason they had slimmed down. Lin Seining stared greedily into the kitchen and swallowed hard. She asked why Zhang Yi had so much food. Zhang Yi dismissed it as junk food that he ate whenever he was too lazy to cook. In an apocalypse where one packet of instant noodles cost 2,000 yuan, the statement was shamelessly extravagant. For the first time, Fan Yuqing sweetly called him Brother Yi and asked how warm his apartment was. Zhang Yi turned the camera toward the blazing fireplace and complained that the apartment was almost unbearably hot. He even asked whether it was truly that cold outside, claiming he had not left home in more than 10 days and had no idea what conditions were like. Their resentment instantly reached its limit. Both women hated him, but they still forced themselves to smile. Fan Yuqing adopted a fragile, pitiful expression and said she wanted to visit his apartment because she genuinely missed him. She assumed that one small invitation would make Zhang Yi eagerly open the door. Watching her artificial performance only disgusted him. The idealized image he once held of Fan Yuqing had completely shattered, leaving nothing but revulsion. Zhang Yi told them to remain home and rest, instead of wandering around in such dangerous weather. His rejection was immediate and absolute. Fan Yuqing looked shocked and hurt. She demanded to know why he was rejecting her, when he had always treated her so well. Zhang Yi remembered how nearly impossible it had once been to convince her to meet him. Inviting her to his home had always produced an endless list of excuses. He reminded her that whenever he invited her over, she claimed it was inappropriate for a single man and woman to be alone together. After thinking it over, Zhang Yi now agreed with her. Since they had no relationship, they should maintain a proper distance and avoid giving anyone the wrong impression. Zhang Yi wanted to see her reaction when he returned her own words. Fan Yuqing was now willing to abandon all dignity to enter his safe house. The old Zhang Yi would have opened the door immediately. But in the apocalypse, survival mattered more than anything else. Every possible risk had to be eliminated. Zhang Yi looked at her with amusement and asked whether she had misunderstood their relationship. He admitted that they used to get along reasonably well, but that did not mean he had ever liked her romantically. Fan Yuqing's expression changed instantly. She demanded to know why, when he had supposedly always loved her. Zhang Yi told her not to misunderstand. She was reasonably attractive, but he had never considered dating her. With Zhang Yi's qualities, he could find almost any woman he wanted. What gave Fan Yuqing the confidence to believe he had been desperately pursuing her? The words pierced straight through her delusional ego. Fan Yuqing had always viewed Zhang Yi as one of the backup men she kept on the hook. Now he was telling her that she had merely been one replaceable option to him. Fan Yuqing trembled with rage and accused Zhang Yi of going too far. Zhang Yi coldly told her to stop pretending. At heart, she was simply a gold digger, constantly searching for a wealthy husband. He asked whether she truly believed every rich man was an idiot. Fang Yuqing's reputation as a gold digger had already spread throughout the wealthy social circle. After crushing the last of her pride, Zhang Yi ended the call before she could start screaming at him. Fang Yuqing sent a long series of furious voice messages, but Zhang Yi did not care. Watching her lose control only made him feel better. Laughing loudly, Zhang Yi opened his temperature-controlled wine cabinet and took out a bottle of Romanée Conti worth 200,000 yuan. He paired it with a tomahawk steak, French-baked escargot, and Nanjing salted duck, creating a one-of-a-kind international feast. Elsewhere, Fang Yuqing furiously smashed everything around her. She cursed Zhang Yi and claimed that without the snow disaster, she would never have given him a second glance. She could not understand why someone as beautiful as her had to suffer, while Zhang Yi lived as though he were in paradise. Lin Seining watched coldly and pointed out that Fang Yuqing had ruined everything herself. Zhang Yi had food and a working fireplace. At this point, he was worth far more than an ordinary rich heir. The snow continued falling outside, while the government's encouraging statements sounded increasingly empty. The fear of death began closing in around both women. Fang Yuqing continued throwing a helpless tantrum, but Lin Seining quietly hid beneath the blankets and took out her phone. Moments later, Zhang Yi received a message from her. Lin Seining said she was happy to see Zhang Yi finally stand up to Fang Yuqing. She claimed she had always known Fang Yuqing was a gold digger and congratulated him on waking up. Zhang Yi chuckled. So much for their precious friendship. The moment survival became difficult, Lin Seining sold her best friend out. Lin Seining continued, claiming she had secretly liked Zhang Yi all along. Since he no longer wanted Fang Yuqing, he could choose her instead. Zhang Yi merely spat out his wine. She had gone straight for the offer. What had 10 days of starvation done to this woman? Lin Seining once carried herself like an untouchable princess. Now she was willing to throw away all dignity for a meal. Zhang Yi deliberately asked whether this would damage her friendship with Fang Yuqing. Lin Seining replied that they were never truly friends, merely roommates sharing an apartment. Desperate to replace Fang Yuqing, Lin Seining began revealing secret after secret. Zhang Yi quietly started recording his screen. After putting everything on the table, Lin Seining asked to become Zhang Yi's girlfriend. She claimed he must be lonely and promised she could do many things for him. Unfortunately, Zhang Yi had no interest in her. He immediately forwarded the recording to Fang Yuqing. Then he told Lin Seining that although he was deeply moved, he would have to decline. Zhang Yi added that he liked women, but Lin Seining was simply too ugly. The insult struck exactly where it hurt. Lin Seining flew into a rage, but before she could respond, Fang Yuqing's furious scream came from beside her. The two women attacked each other, pulling hair and clawing at arms, until both collapsed from exhaustion. On the 11th day of the apocalypse, the tone of the official news changed completely. The female anchor no longer tried to reassure the public. Instead, she announced that electricity would be restored for only 1 hour each afternoon, and that high-powered appliances were forbidden. The message was clear. Government rescue was no longer coming. Everyone was on their own. The homeowners group chat erupted. Some people cursed furiously, while others fell into despair. A single packet of instant noodles now cost 5,000 yuan. Zhang Yi watched coldly. The apocalypse had already arrived, yet people were still greedily trading life-saving food for money that would soon be worthless. The irony was almost unbelievable. The water pipes had frozen solid, forcing residents to risk going outside for snow. Some became so thirsty that they licked exposed ice, only for their tongues to freeze to it and suffer severe damage. Chen Jianhao's men watched Zhang Yi's door every day, believing he would eventually come outside for water. Unfortunately for them, Zhang Yi had tens of thousands of tons stored away and could remain inside for the rest of his life. When Zhang Yi checked his phone, messages from Fang Yuqing and Lin Seining appeared almost simultaneously. Both women apologized, claiming the cold had affected their judgment. They insisted they had always liked Zhang Yi and were willing to be with him. Watching them throw away their dignity and desperately flatter him, Zhang Yi merely shook his head. After sending a few mocking replies, he ignored them. The humiliation destroyed what remained of their pride. A vicious look entered Fang Yuqing's eyes. If necessary, she would force her way inside. She no longer cared whether Zhang Yi had to die. Fang Yuqing approached Lin Seining and said they could not wait helplessly for death. They needed to seize Zhang Yi's apartment. Lin Seining agreed. In her mind, only women like them deserve to live in such a paradise. Zhang Yi should be thrown outside to freeze. The two fake friends, who had just turned on each other, joined forces again to steal Zhang Yi's heaven. They decided to find a disposable pawn. Zhou Peng was stupid. blindly devoted, and would probably agree even if Fan Yuqing sent him to his death. Zhou Peng was already little more than skin and bones after giving Fan Yuqing all his supplies. Yet when his dream girl called, he rushed over excitedly, believing romance had finally found him. Fan Yuqing cried pitifully and accused Zhang Yi of being a monster. She lied that she had only asked for food, but Zhang Yi demanded that she sleep with him in return. Zhou Peng instantly exploded with rage and threatened to kill Zhang Yi. Fan Yuqing encouraged him, explaining that Zhang Yi's home contained food and a fireplace. If they seized the apartment, they could all live there together. Zhou Peng's excitement overwhelmed his judgment. Armed with kitchen knives and steel pipes, the three approached Zhang Yi's door with murderous intent. Fan Yuqing and Lin Seining hid beside the entrance and signaled for Zhou Peng to knock. Zhang Yi checked the surveillance feed and saw both women hiding near the door with weapons in their hands and murder in their eyes. A chill ran down his back. He had expected betrayal, but their cruelty still exceeded his imagination. Even so, they were nowhere near capable of killing him. Zhou Peng spoke through the door, claiming that as a co-worker, he wanted to trade 1 box of ibuprofen for 2 packets of instant noodles. Medicine had become valuable currency, but Zhou Peng deliberately offered far too little, hoping Zhang Yi would open the door. Zhang Yi picked up an empty water bottle and loudly relieved himself into it. He pretended to consider the offer, making all 3 attackers believe their plan was working. When he finished, Zhang Yi held a completely full bottle of foamy homemade iced tea. The 2 women screamed and gagged while Zhou Peng angrily attacked the door. Zhang Yi asked whether they enjoyed the flavor and mocked the 3 idiots for thinking they could trick him. Zhou Peng dropped the act, pulled out a kitchen knife, and hacked at the door. The blade struck the alloy plate, and the enormous recoil tore it from his hand. The knife flew past Zhou Peng's head, leaving a bloody cut. The force also split the skin between his thumb and index finger. Zhou Peng screamed. The moment Fan Yuqing and Lin Seining saw his injury, they abandoned him and ran. Zhou Peng fled back to Fan Yuqing's apartment, trembling from head to toe. Before he could even settle onto the couch, Fan Yuqing screamed at him to get up. She showed no concern for his injury and only complained that his blood had stained her furniture. Yet Zhou Peng somehow believed she was right. He apologized immediately and allowed her to throw him out. In the homeowner's chat, Auntie Lin continued demanding supplies. This time everyone responded with insults. They blamed her for discouraging them from stockpiling and called her a menace who had ruined lives. Xu Hao became desperate and raised his offer to 10,000 yuan for 1 packet of noodles. Some gamblers still sold their food, betting the snow would end soon. Zhang Yi scoffed. Before long, money would be worth less than scrap paper. The following day, Fan Yuqing and Lin Seining returned. This time, they carried umbrellas and begged Zhang Yi for food, though both almost certainly had knives hidden inside their coats. Zhang Yi ignored them and searched the toy section of his alternate dimension. He found 2 novelty stink eggs, whose odor was nearly impossible to remove. Seeing the women sheltering behind their umbrellas, Zhang Yi chuckled and carried the stink bombs to the firing port. When neighbors complained about the smell, he replied, "Come fight me if you don't like it," then blocked them. The following morning, a gunshot echoed throughout the building. Zhang Yi opened the surveillance feed, and his eyes narrowed. Outside a 3rd-floor apartment, the crippled Chen Zhenghao held a black handgun. At the same time, he uploaded photographs and a voice message to the homeowners group. Chen Zhenghao announced that he now controlled the building. Anyone who challenged him would share the fate of the person in the photographs. The chat fell completely silent. Everyone knew Chen Zhenghao had limited ammunition and only a few men, but no one dared resist. Zhang Yi shrugged. As long as Chen Zhenghao stayed out of his way, there was no reason to deal with him yet. His phone suddenly began vibrating non-stop. Zhang Yi had been added to a new group that excluded Chen Zhenghao. The frightened residents had finally remembered the value of working together. Everyone spoke passionately about unity. Some boasted that Chen Zhenghao had only 1 gun and a few bullets. If everyone charged at once, 1 heroic sliding tackle would supposedly bring him down. Then someone asked when the attack would begin. The group went silent. No one wanted to be the unlucky fool who absorbed the first bullet. They quickly changed their position, claiming they needed a careful plan and should win through intelligence. Mr. Yu could no longer tolerate the cowardice. He said they could not allow Chen Zhenghao to continue terrorizing everyone. If 10 or more young men joined him, they could defeat the gang. Everyone praised Mr. Yu's courage. One person offered to lend him a kitchen knife, another offered a long sword, and someone else suggested attacking from behind. Not one person volunteered to fight beside him. Mr. Yu was left speechless. Several female residents then tried to shame the men in Building 25, saying it was time to prove their masculinity. They claimed protecting vulnerable women was a man's responsibility. The men immediately exploded. Women demanded priority whenever benefits were involved, yet expected men to go first when someone had to die. The discussion descended into a pointless gender war. Zhang Yi watched with a cold smile. This was why Chen Zhenghao had ruled the entire building in his previous life. Even while facing death, these fools could do nothing but fight among themselves. Liu Tiantian's gender-based rhetoric attracted widespread ridicule, and the new group became nothing more than an outlet for rage. Everyone traded insults and forgot why the group had been created. Zhang Yi put his phone aside and cooked beef stew with potatoes. Flatbreads lined the edge of the pot, soaking up the rich broth. He recorded a video and sent it to Fang Yuqing and Lin Keining. Terrified by Chen Zhenghao's gunshot, the women cried and begged to enter his apartment. Zhang Yi neither accepted nor explicitly rejected them. After making an example of one resident, Chen Zhenghao switched tactics and pretended to be reasonable. He promised that anyone who cooperated would be left alone. This Stockholm-style psychological manipulation actually caused some residents to lower their guard. Zhang Yi laughed silently. The brief calm ended the following morning. Liu Tiantian from the 7th floor slipped downstairs before sunrise to collect snow, but Chen Zhenghao's men caught her. After escaping back to her apartment, she desperately begged for help. She called out Mr. Yu by name, reminding everyone that he was a veteran. Mr. Yu was not foolish enough to face the gang alone. He could only admit that although he wanted to help, there was nothing he could do. When no one volunteered, Liu Tiantian began shaming the building's men, claiming none of them were real men and threatening to haunt them after her death. Her door was soon kicked open. On the surveillance feed, she screamed as someone seized her legs and dragged her from the apartment. Zhang Yi ate a chocolate bar and reflected that in this temperature, exposing even a small patch of skin could be fatal. The other residents felt no grief. Instead, they were relieved that the gang had targeted someone else. None of them knew how much longer this life could continue. On the 14th day of the apocalypse, Zhang Yi was added to another private group. Its members included Zhou Peng, Fang Yuqing, Lin Chaining, finance workers Sun Jichao, Hong Shi, and Wang Min. They claimed they needed to unite against Chen Zhenghao and establish a secure base. Zhang Yi's apartment had a balcony and an extremely strong door, making it the perfect place for everyone to hide. They even promised to protect Zhang Yi. He laughed. Their scheme was so obvious that it practically jumped through the screen. Zhang Yi mocked them and asked whether they had any idea how comfortably he was already living. When manipulation failed, Fang Yuqing turned to guilt. She asked whether Zhang Yi could truly watch 7 or 8 longtime friends die and begged him to save them. Zhang Yi replied that everyone had to survive through their own ability. No one had the right to demand his protection. Then, he left the group. He reclined in an imported lounge chair, eating chips and enjoying the snow outside. Meanwhile, the neighbors began forming small alliances against Chen Zhenghao. Fang Yuqing, Lin Chaining, and Zhou Peng joined Wang Min's group. Wang Min was a capable, forceful businesswoman, but she was also running short on supplies. She had accepted the three only because she believed they could persuade Zhang Yi to open his apartment. After his refusal, she demanded another solution. To secure her place in the group, Fang Yuqing completely betrayed Zhang Yi and showed everyone the photographs and videos he had sent her. The sight of his food and warm apartment filled their eyes with greed. They accused Zhang Yi of selfishness and decided that since he refused to help them, they no longer owed him mercy. Someone suggested a direct assault, but Zhang Yi's security door was exceptionally strong. One group member had worked for a locksmith company and boasted that he could open any commercial lock. They agreed to attack at 10 that night. The supposedly perfect plan filled everyone with excitement. They laughed together as though they had already moved into paradise. Fully armed and carrying umbrellas, the masked group arrived outside Zhang Yi's apartment. When Zhang Yi saw them through the cameras, he initially assumed Chen Zhenghao's gang had returned. Either way, they deserved a lesson. Zhang Yi laughed at their open umbrellas. The fools believed that was enough to protect them from his chemical weapons. Lu Tao, the former locksmith, inserted his tools into the lock. Zhang Yi laughed coldly. The door was built like a bank vault, with a steel bar 10 centimeters thick, securing it from inside. Unless they rammed it with a vehicle, they had no chance. Zhang Yi had also prepared another surprise. Moments later, Fang Yuqing and the others screamed and retreated. Sun Jichao's eyes turned red with rage. He attacked the door with a shovel, but barely removed any paint. The group accused Zhang Yi of being worse than Chen Zhenghao and demanded an explanation. They insisted they only wanted to live together, and told him not to reject their good intentions. Zhang Yi asked whether picking his lock was their idea of a friendly conversation. Once they opened the door, were they planning to kill him? Instead of backing down, Sun Jichao warned that this was Zhang Yi's final chance. The attackers openly discussed a new plan, believing Zhang Yi could not hear them. After failing to pick the lock, they found a massive wooden beam and prepared to ram the door. Several women held umbrellas against Zhang Yi's stink bombs, while 3 men repeatedly charged with the beam. Through the surveillance app, Zhang Yi saw that the door had not suffered a single dent. After 5 minutes, the group finally lost hope. Someone demanded to know how thick the door was, claiming even a bank vault could not be this strong. Zhang Yi smiled. The game was over. Even if everyone left immediately, he would never open the door. He refused to accept even a 1 in 10,000 risk. To conserve ammunition, Zhang Yi retrieved steel ball bearings and glass marbles from the warehouse supplies. Combined with his hand crossbow, they still possessed considerable force, and he had enough to last a lifetime. Wang Min slapped Feng Yuqing and blamed her for leading everyone into disaster. She demanded to know why Feng Yuqing had remained so far away and escaped without a single injury. Zhou Peng had been struck in the arm by a crossbow bolt, yet he continued protecting his dream girl. Sun Jichao stopped Wang Min and said they needed the women to care for the injured. With no other choice, they summoned Dr. Zhou Care. She examined the wound and immediately frowned. Wang Min broke down crying and cursed Zhang Yi for being cruel. She claimed they had only tried to take over his apartment, not kill him, so he had no right to hurt them so badly. When Zhou Ke heard Zhang Yi's name, a thoughtful expression appeared on her face. In desperation, Feng Yuqing suddenly remembered that Zhang Yi had medicine. She had once seen a pharmaceutical company deliver supplies to him. Zhou Ke confirmed that antibiotics were essential apocalypse supplies. Sun Jichao seized on the information and ordered Feng Yuqing to ask Zhang Yi for medicine. His injuries were severe, and he needed treatment immediately. He insisted that they had never planned to kill Zhang Yi, only move into his home. In his mind, Zhang Yi's resistance was completely unreasonable. Zhou Ke found their reasoning absurd but kept quiet. Wang Min pressured Feng Yuqing to obtain the medicine, arguing that she had caused the entire disaster. Even Zhou Peng was willing to sacrifice his dream girl to survive. Terrified, Feng Yuqing reluctantly called Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi was preparing lunch when he saw her name appear. He immediately smiled. Feng Yuqing continued trying to manipulate him through guilt. She said rejecting his love had been a mistake and claimed she wanted to change. Then she asked whether he could forgive her. She added that Zhou Peng and the others were close to death and asked to borrow medicine. When Zhang Yi did not immediately agree, Wang Min began threatening him. She warned him not to push everyone too far, and promised they would repay his kindness later. Zhang Yi laughed coldly. These people had just tried to break into his home, yet they expected him to believe they were harmless. Feng Yuqing played the romance card again, claiming Zhang Yi had always been in her heart, and that she wanted a fresh start. Zhou Peng's screams from the ongoing surgery echoed through the phone. Hearing them gave Zhang Yi an idea. He told Feng Yuqing that he still had feelings for her. She reacted as though she had found a lifeline and immediately said she had always known he loved her. Feng Yuqing promised that if Zhang Yi allowed her inside, she would obey anything he asked of her. Zhang Yi agreed, but said he loved only her and would therefore allow only her to enter. The suspicious people surrounding her would merely drag her down. The divide and conquer tactic worked instantly. Feng Yuqing's face flushed with excitement as she nodded repeatedly. She turned to leave without the slightest concern for anyone else. Lin Saining grabbed her. Feng Yuqing screamed at Lin Saining to stop blocking her path to a comfortable life. Wang Min slapped Feng Yuqing to the floor. After causing this disaster, Feng Yuqing was not going to abandon everyone and walk away. Feng Yuqing struggled to escape, causing Zhou Peng's wound to split open from anger and stress. She argued that if Zhou Peng truly loved her, he should want her to be happy. If he could not provide the life she wanted, why should he stop her from living comfortably with Zhang Yi? Zhou Peng turned deathly pale and could not answer. Wang Min held Zhou Peng down and gave Feng Yuqing an ultimatum. Unless she returned with medicine, no one was leaving. Lin Saining blocked the doorway as well, insisting that either everyone left or no one did. Feng Yuqing begged Zhang Yi for help, claiming they would not release her unless he gave them medicine. Watching the drama through the call, Zhang Yi smiled and said medicine was far too valuable. What if the entire group was deceiving him? Those words ignited the conflict. Feng Yuqing lost control and attacked Lin Saining, biting and clawing at her. The two fought like wild animals. Wang Min finally joined the struggle and slapped Fang Yuqing 6 or 7 times before subduing her. Wang Min picked up the phone and negotiated with Zhang Yi directly. If he truly wanted to save Fang Yuqing, he needed to bring medicine. Zhang Yi shrugged and pretended to be helpless. He claimed there were too many people and that he was frightened. Zhang Yi then told Fang Yuqing that although he wanted a life with her, the others would not allow it, so she should not blame him. Fang Yuqing no longer hated Zhang Yi. Instead, all her resentment shifted toward Wang Min and the others restraining her. To protect herself, Lin Seineng volunteered to guard Fang Yuqing. Why should Fang Yuqing enjoy paradise alone? If they had to suffer, everyone should suffer together. After completing the surgery, Zhou Kei'er announced that they lacked the necessary medicine and that the risk of infection was extremely high. Everyone needed to prepare for the worst. Despair returned. Zhou Kei'er accepted a packet of crackers and left, while the 3 injured men lay on the couch in severe pain. Sun Jichao's eyes filled with hatred. They had to obtain medicine from Zhang Yi. If their small group could not break him, they would turn hundreds of residents against him, or even use the rabid Chen Jinghao. Everyone immediately supported the plan to weaponize someone else. Fang Yuqing panicked, worried that if they destroyed Zhang Yi, she would lose her only possible refuge. Wang Min slapped Fang Yuqing again and dragged her into the bedroom. Zhou Peng hesitated, then unexpectedly pushed Wang Min away. He refused to let Wang Min mistreat Fang Yuqing. Zhou Peng claimed their love was genuine and that he would never force her to do anything. He believed Fang Yuqing would eventually love him if he remained patient. Remembering her past kindness, letting him carry her belongings and buy her meals, moved Zhou Peng almost to tears. Wang Min pointed at him in speechless rage. Fang Yuqing secretly relaxed, though she still found Zhou Peng disgusting. Wang Min stopped wasting time on the pair and uploaded Zhang Yi's photographs and videos to the main homeowners group. She showed everyone the luxury Zhang Yi enjoyed and accused him of unforgivable selfishness. The group chat exploded. Seeing Zhang Yi eating extravagant meals in his pajamas drove every resident into a frenzy. Some questioned whether the footage was real. How could Zhang Yi wear pajamas at -70 degrees, and where was his electricity coming from? Yet the paradise-like images had already wounded everyone suffering from cold and hunger. Wang Min and Lin Seineng confirmed that the footage was genuine. The group's collective reasoning immediately went completely off the rails. They accused Zhang Yi of knowing about the snow disaster in advance and refusing to warn them. Some even claimed that their suffering was entirely his fault and demanded that he take responsibility. Why should Zhang Yi live in luxury while everyone else froze and starved? When Chen Jinghao saw the footage, his eyes burned with greed and hatred. Their old conflict, combined with this new jealousy, finally made him determined to kill Zhang Yi. The homeowners group chat passed 100 unread messages, and nearly everyone tagged Zhang Yi. One woman called herself Auntie Wang and reminded him that she had once lent him 2 scallions. With a connection that close, she claimed he owed her supplies. Several older residents demanded that Zhang Yi surrender everything so they could distribute it for him. Shi Li Mei begged him to save her and her child, even offering to let the child call Zhang Yi his godfather. Xu Hao promised that if Zhang Yi allowed him inside, he would hand over his family's assets worth more than 1 billion yuan. Zhang Yi enjoyed premium foie gras and red wine while watching the circus unfold. The group became increasingly frantic, with insults and desperate pleas flooding the screen. Zhang Yi asked whether he was even close to these people, and why he owed them anything. Someone immediately replied that neighbors were supposed to help one another. Zhang Yi answered with only 2 words, "So what?" Before long, his private inbox exploded as well. Xie Li Mei, college student, Zhang Siyu, and even several married women contacted him. In the apocalypse, personal boundaries had disappeared. Zhang Yi lay on the couch, drinking wine and admiring the snow, while considering taking a snowmobile out someday. Among the mountain of worthless messages, one from Zhou Kei'er caught his attention. Zhou Kei'er calmly explained that her supplies were running out. She asked for help and offered medical services in exchange. There was no emotional performance or seduction, only a rational trade. Zhang Yi pictured the striking female doctor, merely 5'9", with an impressive figure and a cool, untouchable presence. In his previous life, her kindness had gotten her killed, proving that she still possessed some humanity. Medical expertise was also essential in the apocalypse. Although Zhang Yi found her attractive, survival always came first. Unless he was completely certain he could control the situation, he would never let her inside. Zhang Yi replied that he was perfectly healthy and had no current need for a doctor. If Zhou Kei'er wanted a trade, she needed to offer something immediately useful. Zhou Kei'er remained silent for a long time. With hesitation and embarrassment in her voice, she asked whether her future medical services could count as an advance payment. She was close to collapsing. After considering it, Zhang Yi offered her a way out. He could provide food and medicine, but she needed to do him a favor. If the neighbors planned to attack Zhang Yi, Zhou Keir had to warn him in advance. This gave her a path to survival, while adding another layer to his defenses. Even with a steel fortress, having an informant could only help. After a long hesitation, Zhou Keir agreed to become Zhang Yi's inside source. Zhang Yi looked at the endless insults in the main chat and laughingly told everyone to go to hell. The group instantly erupted, with residents claiming he had brought the coming consequences upon himself. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. He was nervous but excited, and the adrenaline in his blood began to surge. He removed his weapons from the alternate dimension 5 heavy-duty crossbows, 3 advanced compound bows, and hundreds of arrows. He also laid out 2 large boxes of steel ball bearings, a heavy chopping blade, a crowbar, baseball bats, pepper spray, stun batons, gasoline, and dozens of homemade Molotov cocktails. Zhang Yi slowly cleaned the gun in his hands. No matter how many people came, he was ready for them. Sun Jichao secretly created another group and even invited Chen Zhenghao. Chen demanded half the supplies, leaving everyone else to divide the remainder. The residents agreed to set aside their grudges, break into Zhang Yi's home, and take back the supplies they believed belonged to them. Nearly everyone joined out of jealousy. Only Mr. Yu and Zhou Keir refused. Zhou Keir immediately warned Zhang Yi that more than 100 people were heading toward him. They had completely lost their minds. She urged him to surrender some supplies before he was killed. Zhang Yi told her to stay away and enjoy the show. Zhou Keir could not understand his confidence and decided he had to be insane. Zhang Yi then received a warning from Mr. Yu, who told him to escape immediately because the residents were approaching with weapons. Zhang Yi thanked him and said everything was under control. Moments later, the floor began to tremble. More than 100 residents poured up the stairway and packed the corridor. Some carried umbrellas to protect themselves from Zhang Yi's water attacks. They demanded that he come out or die. Zhang Yi saw neither Sun Jichao nor Chen Zhenghao among the crowd. The two men were clearly using their neighbors as disposable pawns. Zhang Yi no longer had any reason to hold back. Chen Zhenghao blocked the stairway with his gun, threatening to shoot anyone who retreated. With their escape cut off, Sun Jichao continued inciting the crowd. He told them that once they rammed through the door, they would have unlimited food. Blinded by hunger, the residents lifted a massive wooden beam and repeatedly charged. Inside, Zhang Yi connected his speakers and played energetic music. Outside was the sound of desperate attacks. Inside was a private party. The contrast could not have been more brutal. After dozens of impacts, the door had not moved an inch. It was built to bank vault standards and could resist even explosives. The residents finally began losing hope. Chen Zhenghao guarded the stairs with his gun, forcing everyone to remain his human shields. Zhang Yi relaxed with a cola while listening to music. As the insults continued, Sun Jichao produced another brilliant idea. If they could not break the door, they could destroy the wall. Surely that was not made of metal too. Hope returned, and the residents attacked with hammers. White plaster fell away, revealing cold black metal beneath it. One large man split the skin between his thumb and index finger from the recoil. He screamed that no normal person built walls from steel. Zhang Yi scoffed. The reinforced alloy was 8 inches thick and could withstand artillery fire. The residents collapsed into powerless curses and guilt trips. They asked whether Zhang Yi was lonely and whether abandoning everyone would haunt him forever. Chen Zhenghao refused to give up. He ordered them to attack the ceiling and floor, convinced Zhang Yi could not have sealed the apartment from above and below. Groups moved to the floors above and beneath him and began drilling. They soon discovered that the safe house truly was a completely sealed, 6-sided metal box. Only 8 inches separated them from paradise, yet the distance was impossible to cross. After attacking the structure all morning, they had accomplished nothing. Hunger drove the crowd toward madness. Sun Jichao's infected arm had begun to rot. He screamed that one man's life could not possibly matter more than so many others. He demanded to know whether making one small sacrifice would kill Zhang Yi. Then someone remembered the balcony. Surely they could shatter the floor-to-ceiling windows. The residents climbed across the balconies like zombies, ignoring the -70-degree blizzard. Through the glass, they finally saw true paradise. Zhang Yi lounged in his pajamas with a steaming cappuccino. His table was covered with hamburgers, pizza, roasted chicken, and chili oil noodles. The residents lost control and attacked the glass with everything they had. Zhang Yi calmly enjoyed the performance. Who said glass had to be weaker than metal? These windows were made from top-grade ballistic glass, capable of withstanding explosive impacts. More than a dozen people attacked without leaving a single crack. A man wearing glasses screamed that the windows were bulletproof. Another refused to accept his fate and continued swinging wildly, but every attack was useless. To thank them for the entertainment, Zhang Yi produced braised pork knuckle and candied bananas from his alternate dimension and ate in front of everyone. Wave after wave of residents attacked the balcony windows, leaving only tiny scratches. They watched in despair and burning jealousy as Zhang Yi enjoyed his food. Zhang Yi raised his glass and encouraged them to keep trying. Their assault had completely failed. Some residents finally broke down, kneeling before the glass and repeatedly bowing their heads as they begged for food. Soon the balcony echoed with desperate pleas. Zhang Yi pretended to feel upset and said he needed a bowl of noodles to calm himself. He ate loudly while the starving residents cried outside. Zhang Yi placed the half-finished bowl beside the window and uploaded a photograph to the main chat. He intended to use that tiny amount of food to turn the mob against Chen Jinghao. The residents began looking at Chen Jinghao like prey that could be exchanged for food. A chill ran through him, and he retreated while cursing everyone around him, unable to breach Zhang Yi's home. The residents searched for other ways to survive. As night fell, the television continued claiming everything was stable and improving. Zhang Yi could only laugh. The food bounty produced results. Someone cut a 12-inch gash across Chen Jinghao's back, forcing him to summon Zhou Ke for treatment. To protect himself, Chen Jinghao forcibly detained Zhou Ke. He also moved to the 24th floor, taking the apartment beside Zhang Yi's so he could watch the door around the clock. Chen Jinghao refused to believe Zhang Yi would remain inside forever. The moment Zhang Yi emerged, he planned to kill him and seize the fortress. Zhou Ke pretended to use the bathroom and secretly warned Zhang Yi. He replied that he understood and told her to continue observing. Forcing Zhang Yi outside was nothing but a fantasy. Meanwhile, Chen Jinghao and his men completed their move to the 24th floor. The young couple next door trembled in fear and surrendered their apartment. Chen Jinghao began monitoring Zhang Yi's entrance day and night. Unfortunately for him, Zhang Yi could even dispose of garbage through his alternate dimension. When he became bored, he live-streamed in the homeowners group. Facing the camera, Zhang Yi announced that he was making braised pork and dropped 11 pounds of pork belly into the pot. The neighbors nearly cried from hunger. After one bite, Zhang Yi frowned and complained that he had added too much soy sauce. He declared the entire dish ruined and dumped the pot into the trash. The group chat exploded. Some begged him not to waste it, claiming their mouths could serve as garbage disposals. Others cursed him for throwing away precious food. Zhang Yi said it did not matter because he already had prepared dishes. The camera turned toward a table covered with oil-braised shrimp, braised pork intestines, sweet and sour pork tenderloin, and more than a dozen other dishes. Zhang Yi cheerfully invited everyone to dig in. The residents went insane. Some cursed, some begged on their knees, and others even offered to call him dad for one sip of soup. Elsewhere, Fan Yuqing trembled from the cold and begged Zhang Yi for help. In a sugary voice, she called him Brother Yi and pleaded with him to save her. Zhang Yi claimed that he wanted to help but was afraid of Chen Jinghao. Fan Yuqing would have to come over by herself. The suggestion immediately frightened her into backing down. Zhang Yi laughed coldly. Betrayal and the bounty had driven Chen Jinghao toward madness, leaving him deeply paranoid. To protect himself, Chen Jinghao forcibly recruited more men and expanded his group to 10. Zhou Ke messaged Zhang Yi again. She had not eaten in 2 days and was close to starving. She asked whether he could still save her. Since Zhang Yi might need a doctor later, he finally decided to act. Zhou Ke had to complete one final task. If she succeeded, he would keep her alive. Zhang Yi needed to know whether Zhou Ke could make a ruthless decision when necessary, so he gave her a special assignment. Zhou Ke did not respond immediately. She was clearly struggling with the decision, but Zhang Yi was willing to wait. The following day, Zhang Yi finished his run and enjoyed a hot shower. Feeling completely refreshed, he suddenly heard pounding at the door. Zhou Peng's arm had swollen severely from infection. Zhang Yi approached the door and calmly explained that an infection this advanced was probably beyond treatment. Cold sweat covered Zhou Peng. His insults immediately turned into desperate pleas before he stumbled back to the others. Sun Jichao was burning his wound to disinfect it, screaming from the pain. Zhou Peng approached Fan Yuqing and asked whether she would marry him. It was Zhou Peng's final pathetic wish. Fan Yuqing pinched her nose and looked at him with disgust, complaining that he smelled terrible. Zhou Peng's heart finally shattered. Consumed by despair, he lunged at Fan Yuqing and tried to attack her. But the cold and his infected injuries had already drained his strength. He failed, and Fang Yuqing mocked him again, leaving Zhou Peng screaming in helpless rage. Elsewhere, Zhou Kei'er finally made her decision. While preparing food, she emptied most of a bottle of sleeping pills into the pot. Chen Zhenghao believed she had finally surrendered and lowered his guard. Half an hour after eating, the drugs took effect, and all 10 men lost consciousness. Zhou Kei'er messaged Zhang Yi that the task was complete. He ordered her to drag the men into view of the surveillance cameras. He refused to take any risk without confirming it himself. Gritting her teeth, Zhou Kei'er dragged Chen Zhenghao and all 9 of his men into the camera's view. After confirming that everyone was unconscious, Zhang Yi told her to remove the heavy winter gear that could conceal weapons and approach alone. Zhou Kei'er escaped from hell and pushed open the safe house's massive door. Warm air washed over her, like the entrance to heaven. The 27-degree temperature was almost unbearable after the extreme cold. Ignoring the gun aimed at her, Zhou Kei'er hurriedly removed her heavy down jacket and gasped for breath. Zhang Yi kept the weapon trained on her and reminded Zhou Kei'er that she was inside his home. Neutralizing Chen Zhenghao had only proven that she was useful. Now she had to prove that she posed no threat to Zhang Yi. Zhou Kei'er forced a smile and asked whether betraying Chen Zhenghao was not enough proof of loyalty. Zhang Yi said it was not. He needed to search her. Zhou Kei'er had no other choice if she wanted to remain in paradise. She raised her hands and placed them against the door. Zhang Yi carefully searched her and confirmed that she carried no hidden weapons. He told her to take a shower. Clean clothes were waiting outside the bathroom in the size she had previously provided. Zhou Kei'er blushed and hurried into the bathroom. While she showered, Zhang Yi inspected her medical kit and confiscated every syringe, eliminating another potential threat. Half an hour later, Zhou Kei'er emerged from the bathroom in pajamas. Her wet hair flowed down her back, making her almost impossible to look away from. Zhang Yi still held his gun, his eyes filled with caution. Zhou Kei'er thanked him, then nervously asked whether he was angry that she had used so much hot water. Inside this warm paradise, she was terrified of being thrown back into the frozen world. Zhang Yi simply told her to sit down. Zhou Kei'er obediently sat on the couch. Zhang Yi reminded her that this was his home, and that allowing her to remain was a privilege he had granted. She had to obey every order. Refusal meant death. Cameras covered the entire safe house, so she would have no privacy. Zhou Kei'er could remain by Zhang Yi's side, but he alone would control the key to the security door. She nodded and accepted his conditions. Her ability to understand the situation pleased Zhang Yi. To strengthen her loyalty, he decided to reveal his greatest secret. Zhang Yi told her that he possessed a supernatural ability and an alternate dimension where he stored all his supplies. As long as Zhang Yi remained alive, Zhou Kei'er would have food and hot water. If he died, she would eventually starve as well. Zhang Yi then produced a filled pastry from thin air. After her initial shock, a new determination appeared in Zhou Kei'er's eyes. It was trust built entirely on survival. Zhang Yi told her to eat, and Zhou Kei'er devoured the pastry with tears in her eyes. Zhang Yi announced that she would handle all household chores from now on. Since the sewer was frozen, she would also be responsible for disposing of human waste. In other words, she would serve as his personal maid. Zhou Kei'er quietly agreed, and even addressed Zhang Yi as master. Once she had eaten, Zhang Yi poured 2 glasses of wine and asked whether she knew why he had chosen her. The first reason was simple: she was a doctor. Zhou Kei'er took a small sip, understanding entering her eyes. The second reason was that she was also a beautiful woman. Zhou Kei'er set down her glass and moved closer. The fear and pressure accumulated over the past 2 weeks finally found an outlet. The following morning, Zhang Yi woke feeling completely refreshed. Zhou Kei'er was still asleep, so he brought out hot hamburgers and fried chicken and knocked to wake her. Zhou Kei'er devoured the food and let out a satisfied burp. She said it tasted so good she could cry. Now that she was full, it was time to work. Zhang Yi recorded a video for the homeowners group and announced that Chen Zhenghao was dead. From that moment on, Zhang Yi would manage the building. The group erupted. The neighbors celebrated through tears, relieved that the monster was finally gone. Yet, they were not afraid of Zhang Yi. Instead, they immediately begged him for food and repeatedly praised him as a good man. Fang Yuqing believed her opportunity had arrived. She cried that she was still alive and demanded that Zhang Yi throw Zhou Kei'er out and let her inside. Wang Min and Lin Chaining fought for the phone, each insisting she was just as good as Zhou Kei'er. The 3 desperate women began fighting, leaving Zhang Yi laughing at the spectacle. Zhou Kei'er sensed a threat and wrapped herself tightly around Zhang Yi's arm. He enjoyed her sudden affection and immediately came up with an idea. Zhang Yi took an intimate photograph with Zhou Ke and sent it to Fang Yuqing. He told Fang Yuqing she was too late, because he and Zhou Ke were truly in love. She should stop contacting him before Zhou Ke became jealous. Seeing a wealthy, beautiful woman who surpassed her in nearly every way drove Fang Yuqing insane. She could not accept that the man she once treated as a simp had been taken by someone else. Zhang Yi deleted and blocked her in one smooth motion, restoring peace to his life. The peace lasted only a few days before the group chat produced more entertainment. Auntie Lin claimed the disaster would end soon, and that her brother was a high-ranking official. Anyone who refused to bring her food would supposedly be executed later. The old woman had clearly lost her mind. More surprisingly, she was still alive. When Zhou Ke treated her injuries, she had taken pity on her and shared some supplies. Another moment of reckless kindness. Just then, a desperate man in Building 18 jumped from his balcony. The hopelessness of the apocalypse continued spreading. Zhang Yi's phone rang. Mr. Yu explained that Xie Limei's daughter, Tongbao, had developed a high fever and asked whether Zhang Yi had any medicine. Zhang Yi immediately understood the situation. Xie Limei had successfully found herself a new protector. Since Mr. Yu was a trained veteran and capable fighter, he remained worth investing in. Zhang Yi said he had a few boxes left and told Mr. Yu to collect one. He deliberately emphasized a few to create a sense of scarcity. Mr. Yu became so grateful that he could barely speak. He promised to help Zhang Yi with anything in the future. Zhang Yi replied that Mr. Yu was like a real uncle to him. After ending the call, Zhang Yi explained to Zhou Ke that making Mr. Yu owe him a favor meant he could rely on the veteran when danger arrived. Mutual benefit created the strongest relationships in the apocalypse. Mr. Yu soon arrived with Xie Limei behind him. Holding Tongbao, she begged Zhang Yi to help because the child's fever would not go down. Zhang Yi tossed cold medicine through the firing port. Mr. Yu thanked him repeatedly. A calculating look entered Xie Limei's eyes. She asked whether the child could stay inside since Zhang Yi's apartment was warm. She also begged him to help for Mr. Yu's sake. She was clearly using the child as a way to enter his home. Once she got inside, removing her would become far more difficult. Zhang Yi refused to become an easy target. He apologized and explained that he feared for his own life too much to let strangers inside. Xie Limei demanded to know why Zhou Ke was allowed to stay. Zhang Yi replied that Zhou Ke was his girlfriend. Was there a problem? The answer immediately silenced Xie Limei and brought a quiet smile to Zhou Ke's face. Mr. Yu was too honorable to repay kindness with betrayal. He dragged Xie Limei away and told her to stop pushing. Zhang Yi had already done more than enough by providing medicine. Watching them leave, Zhang Yi became cautious. Xie Limei was calculating and wanted his apartment. She could eventually damage his relationship with Mr. Yu. After returning home with Xie Limei and the child, Mr. Yu reminded her that decent people repaid those who helped them. Xie Limei insisted that everything she did was for her child. Then she tried to turn him against Zhang Yi, asking why Zhang Yi refused to open the door if he truly trusted Mr. Yu. She implied that Zhang Yi only wanted to use Mr. Yu as hired muscle, and even hinted that they should seize the safe house. Mr. Yu angrily ordered her to stop. He said anyone who suspected a benefactor without cause had lost their humanity. Xie Limei fell silent, but malice remained in her eyes. She was clearly willing to pay any price to survive. Late that night, someone dug through the snow blocking the building entrance. A professional-looking group dressed in heavy clothing and carrying shovels and steel bars slipped inside. Their sharp-eyed leader, known as Second Uncle, led them directly toward Zhang Yi's apartment on the 24th floor. Outside the door, their explosives expert, Old Donkey, produced detonators and homemade explosives. A deafening blast shook the entire building awake. Zhang Yi jolted awake, his ears ringing and his eardrums throbbing with pain. These were not desperate neighbors, they were hardened criminals. Fortunately, the attack failed. Old Donkey's homemade explosives had become damp and could not breach the safe house. The surveillance cameras showed the attackers carrying red wooden shields. They were clearly construction workers from the neighboring site. Looking at his empty magazine, Zhang Yi realized he needed stronger firearms. This attack had used crude explosives. Professional charges could create a far more dangerous situation. When Zhang Yi returned to the bedroom, Zhou Ke was curled up in a corner, trembling. She said she had thought an earthquake was happening. Zhang Yi noticed the black lace underwear hanging in her neatly organized room and smiled. Having a considerate woman around truly improved life. Before the apocalypse, a woman like Zhou Ke would have been far beyond the old Zhang Yi's reach. Zhou Ke believed the attackers were construction workers from Building 26. They performed physical labor every day, had superior numbers, and were more dangerous than Chen Zhenghao's gang. Zhou Ke suggested taking revenge immediately. Zhang Yi fully intended to retaliate, but he would never personally enter enemy territory. Zhou Ke rolled her eyes. The man was almost absurdly cautious. Zhang Yi revealed the truth in the homeowners group, warning everyone that the workers from Building 26 had invaded with explosives. The neighbors instantly changed their attitude. They praised Zhang Yi as their hero and begged him to protect the building. Zhang Yi claimed that fighting the attackers had exhausted all his weapons, so everyone would have to survive on their own. They had insulted him moments earlier and now wanted a free bodyguard. Mr. Yu privately explained that he knew the group from Building 26. Their leader was Huan Tianfang. He originally commanded more than 30 men, though over 10 had recently died. Mr. Yu said the gang had already caused numerous deaths. If Zhang Yi developed a plan, he was willing to help eliminate them. This was Zhang Yi's return on his investment in Mr. Yu. At a critical moment, the veteran was a reliable fighter. Zhang Yi was in no hurry to unite everyone against the Tianhe gang. Help offered too easily would never be appreciated. Once the Tianhe gang hurt the residents badly enough, they would beg Zhang Yi to intervene. He and Mr. Yu agreed to wait and let both sides weaken each other. As expected, the neighbors immediately tried to shame Zhang Yi into helping. He ignored them. Through the intelligence provided by Zhou Ke and Mr. Yu, Zhang Yi learned the residential complex's power structure. Two major threats remained. The first was the Tianhe gang in Building 26. Its leader, Huang Tianfang, was a powerful construction worker with considerable fighting experience. The second was the Mad Wolf gang in Building 21, led by street thugs Wang Qian and Xiao Lu. Its members were young, aggressive, and dangerous. Over the next several days, the Tianhe gang returned for revenge. They still avoided Zhang Yi's fortress, so they attacked his neighbors instead. The residents blamed Zhang Yi, claiming he had caused the conflict and needed to solve it before more people suffered. Zhang Yi laughed. Their problems had nothing to do with him. His home remained completely secure. Once the neighbors fell into despair, Mr. Yu entered the conversation exactly as planned. Mr. Yu calmed everyone and explained that only Zhang Yi could solve the crisis. Someone complained that Zhang Yi had weapons and strength, but refused to help. Mr. Yu said Zhang Yi still listened to him, so he would try to convince Zhang Yi to step forward. The residents treated Mr. Yu like their final lifeline. The two-man act between Zhang Yi and Mr. Yu worked perfectly. Now it was time to negotiate. Mr. Yu asked Zhang Yi to help and promised that everyone would be grateful. Zhang Yi asked why he should risk his life and exhaust himself for people who offered him nothing. The neighbors immediately promised to obey any order as long as Zhang Yi did not let them die. Zhang Yi asked whether they would fight the Tianhe gang if he commanded it. The group fell silent. They wanted Zhang Yi to risk his life alone, which was never going to happen. Zhang Yi simply replied, "Goodbye." Mr. Yu insisted that fighting together was their only chance of survival and volunteered to follow Zhang Yi first. With Mr. Yu's encouragement, the neighbors reluctantly agreed. Zhang Yi announced that if they had chosen him as building captain, they would obey his commands. Anyone who hid during battle would be treated as a traitor. Zhang Yi checked the member list and discovered that only 20 people had responded. He ordered the others to stop pretending they were absent. The increasingly desperate residents immediately exposed the cowards hiding in silence and forced them to participate. After using the stick, Zhang Yi offered the carrot. If everyone obeyed, he promised to leave the building and search for supplies. The supplies would keep his expendable fighters alive, while allowing Zhang Yi to search for better weapons. With a snowmobile, the buried city was practically his territory. The neighbors asked how anyone could search through such deep snow. Zhang Yi answered heroically that he was willing to take the risk for everyone. Zhang Yi knew the locations of Tianhe City's major warehouses and supermarkets. His confidence finally won the residents over, and they began calling him their savior. The moment Zhang Yi agreed to search for supplies, their hatred transformed into gratitude. Zhou Ke offered to accompany him. Zhang Yi told her to wait at home and claimed he trusted her completely. Immediately afterward, he stored every remaining piece of food and coal inside his alternate dimension. Zhou Ke was speechless. This man was unbelievably calculating. Zhang Yi returned to his room and changed into protective gear. This would be the first time he had voluntarily left the apartment building since the apocalypse began. He wore a cut-resistant calfskin jacket, strapped a frying pan to his chest and another to his back as improvised armor, then covered everything with a heavy winter coat. He carried a crowbar and kept a fully loaded handgun in his pocket. Zhang Yi climbed through an opening on the 4th floor, The snow outside reached above his knees. He then produced a snowmobile from his alternate dimension. The roar of the engine shattered the silence, drawing countless hidden eyes. Zhang Yi did not care. He already had more enemies than he could count. After determining his direction, Zhang Yi accelerated toward the entrance. In the end, every fear came from insufficient firepower. His first destination was the local police station. Zhang Yi broke through a window and entered the building, which was already filled with snow and ice. 7 or 8 police officers had frozen to death together in a corner while remaining at their posts. Zhang Yi bowed his head in respect, then stepped around them and continued searching. The apocalypse did not believe in tears. It respected only weapons. Zhang Yi found the keys and unlocked the equipment storage room. He had struck gold. The room contained dozens of handguns and rifles, a heavy sniper rifle, more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition, and complete riot control equipment. The weapons were enough to equip a small combat unit. The sniper rifle, in particular, gave Zhang Yi a devastating long-range advantage. Zhang Yi stored everything inside his alternate dimension. With the weapons secured, it was time to find something barely edible for the neighbors. The nearby convenience stores had already been stripped clean. Zhang Yi climbed onto the snowmobile and headed toward a Wanda shopping mall far from the residential district. He expected the mall to contain several surprises. However, despite its enormous size, almost all the food had already spoiled. Rotten vegetable leaves, ancient spoiled meat frozen solid, and debris from shattered fish tanks remained. Even a dog would refuse to eat it, but Zhang Yi still filled 2 large bags. To the starving residents, this garbage would taste like a luxury meal. When Zhang Yi returned to the residential complex, the snowmobile's roar attracted countless, greedy eyes. In Building 26, Huang Tianfeng stared at Zhang Yi's snowmobile, half his face covered in burn scars. With that vehicle, he could leave the complex and search for food. He had to take it. Huang Tianfeng knew Zhang Yi had guns, so he did not act recklessly. Several impatient men secretly armed themselves with knives and headed downstairs to ambush him. When the residents of Building 25 saw the 2 large bags, they cheered wildly. Zhang Yi pretended to hide the snowmobile carefully before carrying the supplies upstairs. Mr. Yu came to meet him, his eyes filled with admiration. He could not believe Zhang Yi had found so much food. Zhang Yi claimed he had searched nearly the entire city to gather this small amount. For everyone's sake, he said, he had risked his life. The bags spilled out rotten vegetables and ancient spoiled meat frozen solid. Yet the residents cried with gratitude and shouted Zhang Yi's name like he was their savior. Fang Yuqing tried to approach him, but the starving residents immediately shouted her back. Just as the food distribution began, 4 workers from the Tianhe gang climbed through a window and tried to steal everything. To protect their food and earn Zhang Yi's rewards, the residents instantly became vicious. Dozens attacked the 4 intruders with shovels and kitchen knives. Zhang Yi applauded and praised their work, promising generous rewards. The 2 most aggressive young men were Li Chengbin and Jiang Lei. Zhang Yi filled their arms with moldy crackers and spoiled frozen meat. Both were so grateful that they bowed repeatedly and accepted him as their leader. The other residents watched with burning envy. That was exactly the reaction Zhang Yi wanted. Most people received only a tiny amount of food. Keeping them hungry was the easiest way to keep them obedient. Xu Hao had avoided most of the fighting, so Zhang Yi gave him only 1 piece of candy. Xu Hao immediately protested that the reward was unfair and accused Zhang Yi of targeting him. Zhang Yi asked what made Xu Hao think he deserved fairness. Fang Yuqing then spoke in a sugary voice, asking where her share was. Zhang Yi directly told her that neither she nor Lin Chaining would receive anything. Fang Yuqing broke down and tried to manipulate him through their past relationship. Zhang Yi openly admitted that he had been playing with her. He told Fang Yuqing to look at herself. She no longer resembled a goddess, she looked like a homeless beggar. Zhang Yi wrapped an arm around the polished and beautiful Zhou Ke-er, creating a brutal contrast. Through Xu Hao, Zhang Yi exposed Fang Yuqing's humiliating nickname, Universal Adapter, implying that she flirted with every wealthy man available. Everyone burst out laughing, and Fang Yuqing fled in humiliation. Lin Kaining tried to argue, but Zhang Yi simply said he found her annoying and ordered her to be quiet. Zhang Yi then tossed Xu Hao a bag of crackers, calling it a reward for finally understanding his position. Xu Hao treated it like treasure, and thanked him repeatedly. With the rewards settled, Zhang Yi moved to serious business. He excluded Zhou Ke, Mr. Yo, and Shayli Mei from regular guard duty. The remaining 43 residents were divided into 6 groups for round-the-clock shifts. Mr. Yu would organize the schedule. Shayli Mei quietly complained about receiving no reward. Zhang Yi did not care what his expendable fighters thought, as long as they remained useful. Mr. Yu was exempt because he needed to preserve his strength as a key fighter. In reality, Zhang Yi was protecting one of his few trusted people. Xie Li continued complaining in private. Zhang Yi had already prepared for that. The good food would be saved and given to Mr. Yu separately. One unopened case of instant noodles was enough to silence Xie Li and deepen Mr. Yu's loyalty. Back inside the safe house, Zhang Yi removed the jacket, fitted with frying pans, and replaced it with a genuine police ballistic vest. Zhou Ke moved closer, seeking affection, but Zhang Yi gave her a playful pat and sent her to shower first. At the moment, Zhang Yi loved the guns far more. He equipped himself with 2 police handguns and began studying the rifles and heavy sniper rifle. With the internet still functioning, he quickly learned the basics. Once every weapon was loaded, Zhang Yi stored them in his alternate dimension for instant access. Looking through the scope at the clearly visible windows across the complex, he smiled. The sniper rifle gave him the ultimate long-range advantage. Mr. Yu arrived soon afterward. When he saw an unopened case of instant noodles waiting outside, his eyes filled with tears. Zhang Yi told him to take everything, leaving the veteran overwhelmed with gratitude. At 2 in the morning, Huang Wei led a Tianhe gang night raid. The moment the warning sounded, reward-hungry residents rushed out to fight. Huang Wei's group suffered a crushing defeat. The next day, Zhang Yi asked Zhou Ke to make chili oil noodles. The flavor was only average, but the familiar homemade meal comforted him. Of course, that comfort depended on the kitchen cameras and Zhou Ke's daily security checks. Zhou Ke asked whether Zhang Yi truly knew how to use the sniper rifle. The previous night, he had eliminated 7 attackers with 7 shots. She showed no fear, only admiration. Following Zhang Yi had been the smartest decision of her life. Zhang Yi rewarded that trust. This time, he left the kitchen ingredients in place instead of storing them away. A basic level of mutual trust had finally formed. Meanwhile, the Tianhe gang in Building 26 had completely lost its nerve. Zhang Yi possessed a sniper rifle and seemingly unlimited ammunition. Revenge was no longer realistic. Zhang Yi rode out again, this time heading toward the warehouse district in the economic development zone. Wang Qian of the Mad Wolf gang watched him from Building 21. He believed the snowmobile was his chance to dominate the apocalypse. Everyone wanted Zhang Yi's vehicle, but Zhang Yi did not care. The warehouse district should have contained endless supplies. As Zhang Yi expected, however, the most valuable goods had already been relocated by powerful people. He still discovered a vehicle warehouse filled with luxury cars and heavy machinery. Rolls-Royces, heavy trucks, and excavators could not operate in the current conditions, but he stored them all anyway. They might become useful later, and even owning them as giant collectibles felt satisfying. Zhang Yi's fuel supply was beginning to run low, and the snowmobile consumed plenty of it. He reached the largest nearby gas station, only to find it completely buried beneath snow that no person could clear by hand. Zhang Yi remembered the excavator he had just collected. The 20-ton machine crashed onto the snow and immediately sank 3 feet, exactly as he intended. He had never trained as an excavator operator, but he learned quickly. His technique was rough, yet the machine was extremely effective. After several hours, Zhang Yi opened a path. The station's 4 underground tanks contained more than 50,000 gallons of fuel, and he stored every drop inside his alternate dimension. His fuel problem was solved. More importantly, Zhang Yi realized that the excavator was a key capable of opening the apocalypse's buried treasure vaults. Eventually, supplies hidden beneath snow around the world could become his. Zhang Yi returned and once again gave the residents barely edible scraps. Li Qingbin and Zhang Lei complained that enemies were now too frightened to attack, leaving them without opportunities to earn large rewards. They asked permission to launch attacks of their own. Zhang Yi immediately agreed. Building 25 had transformed from passive prey into an aggressive wolf. Their first target was Building 26, yet the atmosphere across the complex felt strange, with countless eyes secretly following Zhang Yi. Zhou Ke reminded him that the snowmobile represented a path to survival. Anyone who did not envy him would be abnormal. As Zhang Yi and Zhou Ke passed the 13th floor, a bloodshot eye stared at him through a crack in one of the doors. The long-missing Auntie Lin suddenly charged out with a knife. Zhang Yi shoved Zhou Ke aside, rolled away from the attack, and pulled out his crowbar. The surrounding residents hurried out of the way, fear filling their eyes. Everyone understood the consequences of provoking Zhang Yi. Back inside the safe house, Zhou Ke sat near Zhang Yi's feet and washed them, while sharing new intelligence. Chen Lingyu from Building 9 wanted to contact him. Chen Lingyu owned an art studio and was highly skilled at social media sales. She was exceptionally talented at persuasion and manipulation. Someone who made a living recruiting customers could never be underestimated. Zhang Yi had little respect for her proposed cooperation, but stable alliances might make future trips safer. He decided to test her intentions. When he opened WeChat, Zhang Yi found requests from both Chen Lingyu and Walmart finance director Li Jian. One was an online sales queen, while the other was a corporate executive. Zhang Yi accepted both. Chen Lingyu immediately requested a voice call. Zhang Yi refused and told her to state her business in writing. He had no patience for a sales pitch. A woman who made her living off smooth talking could never be allowed to control the conversation. Every message Chen Lingyu sent sounded like marketing copy. She proposed that Building 9 provide 76 workers, while Zhang Yi supplied the snowmobile and weapons. Together they would control the complex. Before any cooperation began, however, Zhang Yi had to give them food. Zhang Yi laughed. She offered nothing but empty promises while demanding charity, as though she were doing him a favor. When persuasion failed, Chen Lingyu turned to threats. She warned that possessing valuable resources made Zhang Yi a target. If he provided food, Building 9 would remain neutral. Otherwise, they would become enemies. Zhang Yi casually replied that he would consider it. Building 9 did not concern him. He had more than enough ammunition. Still, the exchange raised an important question. What if all 29 buildings united against him? The safe house was nearly indestructible unless they demolished the entire building. Without electricity, heat, or food, tearing it down through manual labor was impossible. As long as Zhang Yi remained inside, no one could touch him. But if he wanted to continue searching outside, he needed a broader strategy. Zhang Yi decided to hear what Walmart executive Li Jian had to offer. Li Jian introduced himself as the leader of Building 18, where he had established an apocalyptic utopia. Supplies were centrally distributed, and only 5 residents had died. He hoped to cooperate with Zhang Yi. Li Jian offered labor, resources, and help coordinating relations between buildings. If Zhang Yi refused, they would not attack. Their only goal was self-preservation. The finance director was emotionally intelligent and understood risk management. Even so, Zhang Yi saw through the situation. A utopia without weapons was merely a fat sheep waiting for slaughter. Li Jian's promise not to attack simply meant he planned to watch Zhang Yi and the other factions weaken one another. After speaking with every leader, Zhang Yi realized they all wanted him as free labor. Their only bargaining chips were cheap manpower and women. Neither war nor peace offered a complete solution. Zhang Yi needed a third path. Zhou Ke looked especially alluring in black lace sleepwear. Zhang Yi turned to her and asked whether he should fight or negotiate. Zhou Ke asked whether he could defeat all 29 buildings in a war, and whether peace would require him to feed 1,500 people. Zhang Yi estimated his chance of victory at 99.99%. The factions were simply opening with outrageous demands because they wanted him to support their private groups. Zhou Ke suggested relocating, but Zhang Yi immediately rejected the idea. The safe house could not be moved. The situation appeared impossible, but Zhang Yi controlled the greatest advantage: time. The complex contained violent gangs, manipulative recruiters, and organized managers who deeply distrusted one another. A genuine alliance would be nearly impossible. So Zhang Yi would wait. The advantage remained his, and eventually the factions would expose their own weaknesses. To prepare for future danger, Zhang Yi had Zhou Ke dismantle a ballistic vest and turn the material into armored leg guards. With a helmet, vest, and ballistic pants, he was now protected from head to toe. Next came mobilizing Building 25. Zhang Yi warned the residents that other buildings were targeting their food and preparing to steal it. They could surrender everything and starve together, or pick up weapons and fight. The choice was theirs. The residents had no real alternative. They erupted in anger and shouted that they would fight. Zhang Yi ordered Li Chengbin and Jiang Lei to lead a night raid against the Tianhe gang in Building 26. Li Chengbin told Zhang Yi to rest after his exhausting day and leave the remaining work to them. Zhang Yi comfortably put down his phone and enjoyed Zhou Ke's affectionate care. A battle report arrived 1 hour later. Jiang Lei had performed exceptionally well, so Zhang Yi rewarded him with the following day off and an extra-large bowl of braised pork rice. The other residents watched with intense envy. While heading out the following day, Zhang Yi passed the Mad Wolf Gang's territory in Building 21 and immediately sensed something wrong. Every faction in the complex had contacted Zhang Yi except these aggressive young men. The most dangerous dogs rarely barked before biting. As expected, a trap made from a door panel suddenly sprang up near the edge of the complex. Zhang Yi laughed. They had watched too many television dramas. The trap failed to knock Zhang Yi down and launched one of the Mad Wolf Gang's own men instead. 8 knife-wielding attackers charged. Zhang Yi did not immediately fire. He remained on the snowmobile and slowly pursued the fleeing men. The attackers were terrified. Anyone who tried to kill Zhang Yi had to pay the price. Building 21's corridors had become completely silent. The Mad Wolf Gang had clearly lost its courage. Someone had probably warned them in advance. Zhang Yi refused to enter recklessly. Instead, he summoned everyone from Building 25 and ordered an immediate assault on Building 21. Zhang Yi kept Mr. Yu beside him and ordered everyone else to attack. Guo Dahai objected, arguing that a direct assault was unwise and that Mr. Yu should remain with the fighters. Zhang Yi coldly asked whether Guo Dahai was trying to tell him how to lead. Guo Dahai suggested waiting until night. Others began quietly agreeing, and the questioning grew louder. Zhang Yi smiled coldly and fixed his eyes on Guo Dahai. He reminded everyone that obedience was mandatory. Only a few days had passed, yet they had already forgotten. Zhang Yi asked who supported destroying the Mad Wolf Gang immediately, and who opposed him. Li Qingbin raised his hand first and declared his support. Everyone else nervously followed. That was the response Zhang Yi wanted. As his expendable fighters charged toward Building 21, Zhang Yi turned and left. He asked Mr. Yu to drive the snowmobile, claiming he had injured his ribs and was in pain. The injury was completely fake. Never turn your back on anyone. That was Zhang Yi's rule for survival. Inside the World Trade Center, luxury goods that once cost fortunes lay piled like garbage. Mr. Yu ignored the jewelry and filled an entire bag with baby clothes. Risking so much for someone else's child made him an exceptionally honest man. Zhang Yi tested him by suggesting that since he and Shayla Mei seemed close, they might as well become partners. Zhang Yi added that having a woman nearby for companionship was not a bad thing. If Mr. Yu wanted, Zhang Yi could eventually introduce him to someone more suitable. Mr. Yu's back visibly stiffened. When he turned around, he could not suppress his smile. He claimed to be a respectable man, but his expression revealed the truth. Zhang Yi had his answer. Mr. Yu's attachment to Xie Mei was less about love and more about companionship and physical comfort. With the right incentive, Xie Mei could be replaced at any time. Zhang Yi now understood exactly how to retain his strongest fighter. That morning, Huang Tianfang contacted Zhang Yi and requested peace. He also revealed that the other buildings were forming an anti-Zhang Yi alliance. Zhang Yi responded casually while laughing inside. Huang Tianfang was far too late to ask for peace. Worried that Zhang Yi lacked ammunition, Mr. Yu suddenly shared something important. As a former soldier, he knew the location of a military base near Tianhai City, and it would contain plenty of ammunition. Zhang Yi's eyes immediately lit up. A military base could also contain tanks and armored vehicles. With equipment like that, he would no longer need to fear the disorganized mob. He could simply steamroll every threat. Mr. Yu explained that the base was more than 60 miles northwest and probably buried beneath the snow, making it difficult to reach. Zhang Yi smiled. Digging through snow was now his specialty. With an excavator, no depth could stop him. The two men pushed through the blizzard and traveled more than 60 miles toward the base. Mr. Yu eventually pointed toward a bathhouse and announced that they had found the right area. Zhang Yi had to admire his ability to use such a memorable landmark. Using the bathhouse as a reference point, they located the military base completely buried beneath the snow. Mr. Yu looked guilty, believing the trip had been wasted. Zhang Yi quietly recorded the exact coordinates. Next time, he would bring the excavator and turn the base into his private armory. They began the return journey. Back at the complex, Li Qingbin led the battered survivors home. After a costly victory, resentment began spreading. Some complained that they had risked their lives while Zhang Yi disappeared with Mr. Yu. If the fighting continued, they would all die. Li Qingbin ordered them to stop, reminding everyone that without Zhang Yi, they would have starved already. The anger temporarily faded, but it remained like a current beneath the snow. Someone mocked Li Qingbin for treating Zhang Yi like his father. He accused Zhang Yi of using everyone as cannon fodder. Those words struck directly at the group's deepest fear. Luan Qiang continued stirring resentment. He claimed Zhang Yi fed them garbage while secretly eating luxury food. Why should everyone die for Zhang Yi? If Luan Qiang received the snowmobile, he could search for supplies too. Greed and dissatisfaction spread through the group. Li Qingbin tried to stop them, but was threatened into silence. When Zhang Yi and Mr. Yu returned with supplies, the atmosphere felt strange. Even after the rewards were distributed, the hostility in the residents' eyes remained obvious. Luan Qiang finally spoke. After seeing the designer clothes Mr. Yu had brought Shaylee May. He demanded that Zhang Yi find clothes for everyone next time, preferably the same premium winter gear Zhang Yi wore. Zhang Yi laughed internally. These people barely had food, yet were already demanding designer clothing. Outwardly, he agreed and promised that one day they would never feel cold again. Back inside the safe house, Zhou Keir emerged from the kitchen wearing an apron and warmly welcomed Zhang Yi home. A comforting dinner and warm water for his feet temporarily erased the storm outside. Once Zhang Yi excavated heavy weapons from the military base, he could crush every threat. Zhou Keir warned that resentment among the neighbors was growing and that betrayal was likely. Zhang Yi told her not to worry. He had never trusted them. Zhou Keir asked whether he trusted her. Without hesitation, Zhang Yi said she was the only person he trusted, completely unique and irreplaceable. The lie came effortlessly. Zhang Yi truly loved only himself, but emotional reassurance was necessary to secure his position at home. The tactic worked perfectly, leaving tears of emotion in Zhou Keir's eyes. After dinner, Zhang Yi carried her toward the bathroom so they could share a warm bath. The residents curled up inside their apartments, eating the food Zhang Yi had distributed. Some said following him was not so bad when it meant getting braised pork rice. Others envied Zhou Keir for still being able to take hot showers. But one resident laughed bitterly and warned them not to dream. Zhang Yi viewed everyone as cannon fodder and had no intention of keeping them alive forever. What choice did they have? In the apocalypse, might made right. Despite their resentment, they reached the same conclusion. If they wanted to survive, they had to remain Zhang Yi's attack dogs. Just then, Li Changbin's phone rang. After reading the message, an excited and unsettling look entered his eyes. Someone was secretly trying to turn him against Zhang Yi. The following day, Zhang Yi returned to excavate the military base alone. As the excavator roared, the buried barracks finally emerged from the snow. Something was wrong. Every blanket had been folded perfectly, yet the rooms were empty. There were not even any bodies. Zhang Yi suddenly understood. On the night of the disaster, senior officials had already redeployed the military to escort important supplies toward government shelters. The soldiers stationed here had not died. They had evacuated. In the future, that surviving professional force could become a major threat. For now, however, the base's armory belonged to Zhang Yi. He drove the excavator directly through the armory doors. The departing troops had taken the heavy weapons, but what remained still filled Zhang Yi with excitement. He found several rifles, more than 7,000 rounds of ammunition, a military sniper rifle, and 50 grenades. Combined with the demolition supplies and lumber he collected, the trip was an enormous success. Zhang Yi now possessed an overwhelming military advantage within Tianhai City. When he returned to the complex, Zhang Yi deliberately carried nothing. The residents immediately complained that they had worked all day without food and demanded to know why he had not searched harder. Zhang Yi smiled, but there was no warmth in it. He warned them that they had become far too comfortable and had started treating his help as something they deserved. If that was how they felt, they could end the arrangement and search for food themselves. The crowd immediately fell silent and hurriedly claimed that he had misunderstood. People could never be fed too well. Yesterday, they demanded designer clothes. Today, they already felt entitled to complain. Someone pointed out that the snowmobile could carry 3 people and suggested Zhang Yi take others with him. The crowd immediately agreed, staring greedily at his vehicle. They wanted a share of Zhang Yi's authority. They could keep dreaming. Now that they had set their sights on his snowmobile, Zhang Yi would crush that idea completely. In the group chat, the residents first called Zhang Yi a selfish monster. After exhausting their insults, someone cautiously asked what they would eat if he stopped providing food. The chat fell silent. No one wanted to return to chewing leather belts and eating filth. The mood abruptly shifted. Someone said Zhang Yi had actually treated them well. That was human nature in its purest form. As long as Zhang Yi controlled the food and ammunition, these people would crawl before him, kiss his boots, and praise his mercy. After missing one meal, the residents finally understood. They admitted they could not survive without Zhang Yi, begged for forgiveness, and promised to obey every future order. Zhang Yi laughed coldly at their desperate flattery. Then he was suddenly added to another group. Its members included Chen Lingyu, Li Zhen, Huang Tianfeng, Wang Qiang, and nearly every building leader in the complex. The group was named the Anti-Zhang Yi Alliance. They immediately revealed that all 29 buildings had formed a united front and presented their conditions. First, Zhang Yi would supply the entire complex with food. Second, he would surrender the snowmobile for shared use. Third, he would provide the locations of every resource site. In exchange, they promised not to attack him. Zhang Yi nearly laughed. They wanted him as their unpaid provider while also stealing his vehicle. Their only bargaining chip was the promise not to attack. They understood nothing about real power and believed superior numbers guaranteed victory. Zhang Yi's current firepower was like the droplet from the three-body problem, tearing through Earth's fleet, an overwhelming attack from an entirely different level. The Alliance threatened to kill him if he refused. Others played the reasonable side, advising Mr. Zhang to recognize the situation and cooperate so civilization could be rebuilt. Their good cop, bad cop routine was well executed, but it gave Zhang Yi a better idea. Remove the leaders first. Zhang Yi agreed to negotiate if every building sent a representative to Building 25. The Alliance immediately refused and demanded that Zhang Yi enter their territory instead. No one was stupid enough to walk voluntarily into the other side's base. Since Zhang Yi could not lure them over so easily, he dropped the act. He said negotiations were over. He would remain inside his fortress, and since they could not enter, both sides could wait and see who died first. The Alliance claimed Zhang Yi would eventually run out of food, and that hiding forever was meaningless. Zhang Yi laughed. They actually wanted a war of attrition. Zhang Yi did not care how much food anyone else possessed, because no one had more than him. They could try starving him out in their next lives. Since negotiations had collapsed, it was time to prepare for war. Zhang Yi deliberately addressed Li Jin, saying he would feel safer negotiating with Director Li than with certain cowards who preferred ambushes. One sentence immediately triggered suspicion within the Alliance. Wang Qiang and Chen Lingyu feared Li Jian would claim all the credit, so both demanded to participate. The fish had taken the bait. Zhang Yi scheduled the meeting for 2:30 the following afternoon in Building 25. Anyone late would be excluded. After leaving the group, Zhang Yi temporarily confiscated Zhou Keir's phone. With war approaching, he had to eliminate every possible information leak. Zhou Keir used a newly learned technique to give him a slow, rhythmic scalp massage. The relaxing motion helped Zhang Yi organize his thoughts. Plan A: if every leader arrived, eliminate them together. Plan B: if only a few came, pretend to compromise and destroy the Alliance from within. Zhang Yi had plenty of patience. He contacted Mr. Yu, who immediately agreed to follow every instruction. Everything was ready. Tomorrow's negotiation would be a deadly banquet prepared for the Alliance leaders. Zhang Yi ordered Mr. Yu to lead the security checks. Any representative carrying a weapon would have it confiscated immediately. After confirming the details, Zhang Yi opened the main chat and announced that anyone who did not want to be abandoned had better report for guard duty the next day. If the residents wanted to survive, they had no choice but to obey. The next morning, Zhang Yi equipped ballistic armor, armored pants, a dagger, handguns, an assault rifle, a sniper rifle, and dozens of grenades. He selected a large room on the 13th floor for the meeting. Then he threw down 2 bags of food and watched the residents fight over it. Once they had eaten, Zhang Yi began selling them a beautiful future. If the negotiations succeeded, he claimed, everyone could gradually return to a normal life. They only needed to fight one more time for that brighter future. The residents cried with excitement and believed every word. Zhang Yi's expression was determined, but he felt nothing inside. He had already placed a trap on the 4th floor to block the passage. As long as the residents delayed the enemy, Zhang Yi could retreat to his safe house at any time. His cannon fodder was in position. Now the show could begin. At 2:30 in the afternoon, a massive crowd surged toward Building 25. 500 or 600 people surrounded the building. This was the Alliance's real negotiating tool, an army at the gates. The guards from Building 25 nearly collapsed in fear. Mr. Yu stepped forward and ordered them to remain calm. He reminded them that the Alliance wanted Zhang Yi. Ordinary residents were not even important enough to kill. 5 major building leaders appeared surrounded by followers, arrogance covering their faces. They mocked the Building 25 residents for nearly wetting themselves and joked that Zhang Yi was probably changing his pants upstairs. They imagined themselves as generals commanding an enormous army and believed victory was guaranteed. Zhang Yi sat beside a 7th floor window, looking down at the sea of people with a cold smile. The more who gathered, the fewer he would need to hunt later. Mr. Yu demanded that the 5 leaders submit to a search. They cursed Zhang Yi's arrogance and asked whether this was truly how he treated them. They even claimed that if every person outside spat once, Building 25 would drown. Zhang Yi heard everything through his phone. Did numbers truly make them powerful? The moment the leaders saw the grenades, every one of them froze. They could not understand how Zhang Yi had obtained military grenades. Chen Lingyu squeezed her legs together, desperately trying not to humiliate herself. Zhang Yi gave them 5 minutes. If they did not appear by then, war would begin. The leaders immediately surrendered their weapons and scrambled toward the 13th floor. By the time they arrived, they were gasping for breath and had lost all arrogance. Yet they immediately demanded food, clothing, the snowmobile, and Zhang Yi's continued supply runs. Zhang Yi slammed his handgun onto the table. The 5 leaders jumped up to escape, only for Mr. Yu and his men to block them. Zhang Yi told them to relax. He was merely showing them the gun. Then he presented his condition. Each building would receive only 10 servings of food per day. The alliance began fracturing immediately. Huan Tianfang was thrilled because his building had the smallest population. Li Jian and Shen Lingyu nearly broke down. 10 servings were nowhere near enough for their residents. Before the argument could finish, Zhang Yi introduced his second condition. For long-term sustainability, each building had to become self-sufficient. He tossed a packet of corn seeds onto the table and called on everyone to grow food like humanity's ancestors. In temperatures far below freezing, the leaders somehow believed farming offered hope. In reality, Zhang Yi only wanted to exhaust their people. With a perfectly serious expression, Zhang Yi claimed the apocalypse would be a long war and agriculture was essential. If crops could grow in Siberia, they could grow here too. The absurd argument somehow convinced Li Jian and Hong Tianfang. Zhang Yi knew it still was not enough. He sweetened the offer by promising future supplies of cigarettes and alcohol. The 2 longtime smokers immediately lost all resistance. Zhang Yi tossed them a pack of liquid cigarettes, and they greedily lit up as though entering heaven. Wang Qiang and Huang Tianfang declared that as long as Zhang Yi guaranteed cigarettes, they would accept every condition. 1 pack of cigarettes shattered an alliance that had appeared unbreakable. Li Jian tried to stop them, but was attacked by his 2 idiotic partners. They told Li Jian to stop talking and accept Zhang Yi's proposal. They even said everyone should understand Zhang Yi's difficulties. Li Jian's face darkened with rage. Zhang Yi smiled and announced that they had apparently reached an agreement. A brilliant enemy was never as dangerous as a foolish ally. Li Jian tried to stabilize the situation and asked for more time to discuss it. Zhang Yi coldly asked whether they had come merely to waste his time. Mr. Yu and his men blocked the door, desperate for future cigarettes. Wang Qian and Huang Tianfang immediately switched sides and supported Zhang Yi. The negotiating room descended into chaos. Then Zhang Yi noticed the crowd downstairs quietly moving toward Building 25. It was an ambush. Either the 5 leaders had been abandoned, or their followers were attempting a rebellion. Zhang Yi announced that the alliance had begun attacking. The 5 leaders panicked and insisted they had not ordered it. Zhang Yi commanded everyone to sit down. Shen Lingyu lost control of her bladder from terror. Zhang Yi asked whether they had reached a decision. All 5 unanimously accepted, without daring to object. As the meeting ended, Wang Qiang and Huang Tianfang fought like wild dogs over the half-pack of cigarettes Zhang Yi had left on the floor. These were the so-called leaders of the alliance. After returning to the Building 25 residence, Zhang Yi announced the result: roughly 300 daily servings of food in exchange for peace across the complex. The neighbors immediately worried about their own supplies. Zhang Yi asked whether they preferred war. He was not afraid, but could they survive it? Everyone fell silent. Zhang Yi then changed his tone and spoke with deep emotion. He promised to carry the entire burden himself and never let anyone in Building 25 starve. He wanted every resident to survive. The neighbors burst into tears and filled in the rest themselves. In their minds, Zhang Yi was carrying the entire complex on his shoulders, creating a debt they could never repay. Overwhelmed with gratitude, they returned to obedient service. Only Mr. Yu realized there was more to the arrangement. He said compromise did not match Zhang Yi's personality and asked for the real reason. After confirming they were alone, Zhang Yi smiled. The compromise existed to create chaos inside every other building. Each would receive only 10 servings per day. What happened when everyone could see the food, but only a few were allowed to eat? People could endure scarcity far more easily than unfair distribution. Those denied food would sink into even deeper desperation and madness. For one bite, they would tear apart the same building leaders they had called brothers the day before. Soon, brutal conflicts would erupt inside every building. Zhang Yi possessed food, firepower, and a fortress, allowing him to think calmly. Everyone else had already lost their judgment to hunger and cold. Even a former boxing champion could not defeat Zhang Yi after starving into weakness. Mr. Yu then asked why Zhang Yi had ordered them to farm when no crop could survive such cold. After checking the area again, Zhang Yi revealed the truth. The farming plan was designed to exhaust their bodies and intensify their internal conflicts. What did it matter if a few intelligent people understood? Fools always formed the majority. For immediate rewards, they would willingly destroy their own strength. They were like Emperor Liu Yilong, destroying the very defenses that protected him. Back home, Zhang Yi opened Zhou Ke'er's door. Temporarily deprived of her phone, she was practicing yoga, her movements graceful and alluring. Zhang Yi shared part of his plan. Zhou Ke'er felt relieved and valued because he had never sent her outside to face danger. She said that even if she could not help in battle, she could still help Zhang Yi relax. Then she moved closer, offering him her affection. Insurance existed to protect against the worst outcome, and ideally it would never be needed. Until then, there was nothing wrong with enjoying the present. The following day, more than 1,000 residents gathered in the central plaza to clear snow. The scene appeared peaceful and hopeful. Some claimed their lives finally had direction. Once everyone began farming together, the killing would supposedly end. The building leaders concealed the truth, that each building would receive only 10 servings, keeping the crowd completely in the dark. Zhang Yi pretended to leave on another supply run. Looking back at the complex's false harmony, he found the scene deeply ironic. After dark, Zhang Yi returned with 300 servings of low-quality food. Some residents became resentful at the sight of so many supplies. Zhang Yi claimed he had traveled farther than ever and risked his life for every bag. The building leaders sent their men to collect the allotted food. Zhang Yi also distributed supplies to Building 25. Looking at the residents' excited faces, Zhang Yi called the food the first light before dawn and promised everyone a bright future. The residents believed him completely and cried with hope. Zhang Yi privately decided that once every enemy had been dealt with, he would take the supplies in his alternate dimension and leave the complex forever. After showering, Zhang Yi relaxed while Zhou Ke'er cared for him attentively. Meanwhile, the Mad Wolf Gang was losing control over one pack of cigarettes. Wang Qian ordered everyone to keep working, then reluctantly distributed half a pack among his men. His followers accepted the cigarettes like priceless treasure, tears filling their eyes. Food distribution had only delayed the conflict. The real problem remained. Wang Qian stared at the bread and swallowed repeatedly, but refused to eat first. He ordered Xu Yi to test it. As expected, the building leaders feared poison. Zhang Yi was in no hurry. He simply waited. Once the food taster showed no signs of poisoning, the leaders kept all the food for themselves. Their residents continued working on empty stomachs while dreaming that tomorrow would be better. When that dream ended, reality would be merciless. The leaders claimed they needed another meeting to study food distribution. Zhang Yi laughed coldly. They avoided real work, but treated dividing food like a corporate board meeting. Allowing these people to remain alive was already Zhang Yi's greatest mercy. Conflict soon erupted inside multiple buildings while Zhang Yi watched silently from his window. After eating the breakfast Zhou Ke'er prepared, Zhang Yi left for another supposed supply run. In reality, he merely visited a library and brought back one book. Perhaps reading quietly in bed could bring a little comfort to Zhang Yi's already frozen heart. During the evening food distribution, Zhang Yi looked up and noticed dark silhouettes crowding every window in the complex. Countless, desperate, hungry eyes were fixed on the food in his hands. The breaking point was close. Despair would soon ignite madness. That night, the residential complex became hell. Shouts, curses, and screams echoed between the buildings. Chen Lingyu appeared covered in blood and tried to negotiate again. She claimed she was a female CEO and could help Zhang Yi build a new kingdom in the apocalypse. Zhang Yi saw her as nothing more than a clueless con artist and told her to get lost. Chen Lingyu wanted to exchange her supposed management skills for protection, but Zhang Yi had no use for someone so worthless. When Zhang Yi passed Building 18, however, he noticed something unusual. There was no killing and no fighting over food. Li Jian personally led the snow-clearing effort, with every resident working organized shifts. Zhang Yi asked how they had maintained order. Li Jian explained that they divided their limited food equally because they refused to become animals. What a noble explanation. Zhang Yi offered no response and walked away. On the way back, Zhang Yi encountered Wang Qian and Huang Tianfang. He promised to bring them premium Zhonghua cigarettes and baijiu in the future. The sugar-coated bribe worked instantly. Both men praised Zhang Yi's generosity and apologized for previously misjudging him. They even claimed that since Zhang Yi had saved their lives, those lives now belonged to him. On the way home, they created their own explanations. Either Zhang Yi was genuinely honorable, or he had become afraid of them. Either way, their caution disappeared. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi spent the entire afternoon reading in the library, like a hunter patiently waiting for prey. Wang Qiang and Hong Tianfang personally attended the evening distribution. Both were eager to claim Zhang Yi's promised rewards for themselves. Even the leader of Building 1 approached Zhang Yi for cigarettes. Looking at their greedy faces, Zhang Yi smiled. Greed was contagious. The other leaders began demanding cigarettes, betel nuts, and liquor as well. Zhang Yi pretended to accept their demands reluctantly, but laughed inside. It was finally time to close the trap. Their internal conflicts had already reduced their numbers. Waiting any longer would only allow them to recover. The operation would begin tomorrow. Everything had gone almost too smoothly, making Zhang Yi uneasy. He still had not identified the traitor inside Building 25. Perhaps the enemy was also waiting for an opportunity. But whatever scheme they had prepared, Zhang Yi possessed guns and a fortress. That was enough. When Zhang Yi returned, Mr. Yu guarded him with a club, while Li Chengbin and Zhang Wei stood on either side. Zhang Yi noticed the tension in Zhang Lei's face. Trusting his instincts, he stepped backward and disappeared into the crowd. Representatives from the other buildings arrived and stared greedily at the cigarettes and liquor on the ground. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes, smiled falsely, and invited them forward, one at a time. Wang Qiang from Building 21 stepped out with his head lowered. Zhang Yi bent down to pick up a supply bag and prepared to toss it over. Wang Qiang suddenly shouted, "Now!" The mask had finally come off. He pulled out a handgun and aimed directly between Zhang Yi's eyes. A figure threw himself into the line of fire. Mr. Yu took 3 bullets for Zhang Yi before collapsing onto his knees in the snow. Zhang Yi looked up and saw enemies closing in from every direction. Wang Qiang held the gun, while Huang Tianfang raised a kitchen knife. Even Li Chengbin and Zhang Lei, the guards beside Zhang Yi, betrayed him and charged. The entire assassination had been carefully planned. Zhang Lei roared and swung a shovel directly at Zhang Yi's head. Zhang Yi rolled desperately through the snow and took cover behind the snowmobile. When he stood again, a black assault rifle had appeared in his hands, already loaded and ready to fire. The attacker's vicious expressions transformed into terror. Someone screamed that Zhang Yi had an assault rifle and ordered everyone to run. Xiaolu, the Mad Wolf Gang's second-in-command, watched from a distance and nearly collapsed in fear. The low-level thugs scattered. Zhang Yi ignored them and ran directly to Mr. Yu, who lay completely motionless. His cut-resistant gloves made it impossible to find a pulse. Zhang Yi pulled out an epinephrine injector and drove it into Mr. Yu's chest. Zhang Yi roared for everyone in Building 25 to come downstairs and help. The stunned residents snapped back to reality and scrambled toward him. Trembling with fear, they lifted Mr. Yu and carried him upstairs. As they reached the 7th floor, Shayli Mei came running down with the child in her arms. She cried that her husband was dead and demanded to know how she and the child would survive. She even blamed Mr. Yu for taking bullets for someone else instead of thinking about his family. She never directly mentioned Zhang Yi, yet every word pointed at him. Mr. Yu had been shot saving Zhang Yi, so Shayli Mei expected Zhang Yi to assume responsibility. Zhang Yi had no time for her performance. He ordered her to be quiet and stop blocking the way if she genuinely wanted Mr. Yu saved. Zhang Yi had the residents carry Mr. Yu into the 24th floor living room. Then he forced everyone else out and locked the armored door. He rushed into Zhou Ke'er's room. Seeing Zhang Yi's condition, she initially thought he had been injured. Zhang Yi told her that Mr. Yu had been shot and needed immediate treatment. Zhou Ke'er instantly entered doctor mode and hurried into the living room to examine him. She diagnosed hemorrhagic shock and possible internal organ damage. Surgery had to begin immediately. Zhang Yi told her he had the necessary equipment. He opened the guest room and waved his hand. A portable sterile operating table, surgical lights, medicine, and medical instruments instantly filled the room. Zhou Ke'er froze for only a moment before taking command. Mr. Yu needed a transfusion, so they first had to determine his blood type. Zhang Yi produced test strips. Once the operation began, Zhou Ke'er forced him to wait outside. Zhang Yi lit a cigarette, but his hands were trembling. Without Mr. Yu, he might have taken those bullets himself. This time, Zhang Yi had become careless. From now on, he would never allow anyone within striking distance. As for the leaders who escaped, their suffering had only begun. Shayli Mei asked whether her husband would survive. Zhang Yi assured her that Zhou Ke'er would do everything possible to save him. Shayli Mei claimed that if anything happened to Mr. Yu, she would no longer want to live. Zhang Yi refused to engage, his eyes remaining cold. When her guilt trip failed, Shayli Mei gritted her teeth and held the tightly wrapped child toward Zhang Yi. She begged him to care for the child if Mr. Yu died. Zhang Yi blocked her and pushed the burden back into her arms, repeating that they would do everything possible to save him. Shayli Mei continued asking what would happen if the operation failed. Zhang Yi stared into her eyes, his gaze sharp as a blade. He told her again that everyone would try their best. Zhang Yi added that Shailime surely wanted Mr. Yu to survive as well. The response left her speechless. Her eyes shifted nervously before she finally claimed that of course, she wanted her husband to recover. Zhang Yi told her to return home. Surgery was about to begin, and she could not help. Xie Li Mei insisted that Mr. Yu needed his family beside him and that she could not leave. Zhang Yi suppressed the urge to throw her out. Saving Mr. Yu came first. Zhang Yi opened the heavy armored door, releasing a wave of warm air. To Xie Li Mei, who had endured a month in the frozen apocalypse, the safe house looked like paradise. She slipped inside like a rat. The moment she entered, her eyes locked onto the water dispenser in the corner. Before Zhang Yi could speak, she grabbed his cup, filled it with hot water, and drank it greedily. Xie Li Mei sighed. That hot water had never tasted so good. Then she looked at the child in her arms and asked a question that filled Zhang Yi with murderous anger. She wanted to know whether he had baby formula. Zhang Yi coldly asked her to repeat herself. Xie Li Mei stammered that the child needed something to drink and that Mr. Yu cared deeply for the baby. Zhang Yi ordered her to help or leave immediately. She quickly put down the cup and hurried over. Zhang Yi told Zhou Ke to save Mr. Yu at any cost. Whatever medicine or equipment she needed, she only had to ask. Zhou Ke proved her professionalism. Despite the blood covering the patient, she remained calm and rapidly listed the required supplies. With one motion, Zhang Yi filled the floor with everything she requested. Then he asked whether Mr. Yu could still be saved. Zhou Ke cut open Mr. Yu's blood-soaked clothes and frowned. The situation was critical, and all 3 bullets were lodged in dangerous positions. If they had severely damaged his internal organs, their current conditions offered almost no hope. Zhang Yi took a deep breath, placed a hand on her shoulder, and told her to do everything she could. Hearing that, Xie Li Mei prepared to begin another dramatic crying performance. Zhang Yi silenced her with one cold look. If she interfered with the operation, she would face the consequences. Her crying stopped immediately. Xie Li Mei bit her lip, shifted her eyes, and adopted another pitiful expression. Yet she kept glancing toward the soft couch and television in the living room. She claimed she was useless inside the operating room and should wait outside. She wanted to relax in the living room? In her dreams. Zhang Yi watched her with a cold smile. He reminded Xie Li Mei that her husband's life depended on this operation. She would remain inside to test equipment, wipe away sweat, or at least offer emotional support. Xie Li Mei protested that she did not know how to help, but Zhang Yi made the decision for her. He walked out and locked the room from the outside. Back in the living room, Zhang Yi looked at the cup Xie Li Mei had used. He tossed it into the trash like garbage, then went to the kitchen and drank a large glass of cold milk to calm himself. When Zhang Yi reopened the temporary recovery room, Zhou Ke was resting against the wall. Even in loose surgical clothing, her tall figure remained striking. Mr. Yu lay on the bed wearing an oxygen mask, while the heart monitor displayed a steady rhythm. Zhang Yi finally exhaled. Mr. Yu had survived, and Zhang Yi had not failed the man who took 3 bullets for him. After Zhang Yi comforted Zhou Ke, the irritating figure he expected immediately approached. Xie Li Mei carried the child while wearing a carefully practiced pitiful expression. Her greedy eyes swept across Zhang Yi's living room. She claimed that she and the child had not eaten all day, and asked Zhang Yi to prepare some food. She even mentioned seeing eggs in the kitchen and chicken bones in the trash. Somehow she still believed she could order from a menu. Zhang Yi's eyes turned sharp and immediately destroyed that fantasy. With a wave of his hand, a full case of braised beef instant noodles dropped beside her feet. The impact made Xie Li Mei jump backward. Zhang Yi told her that was all she would receive. She could eat it or leave. Xie Li Mei stared at the instant noodles that had appeared from nowhere as though she had seen both a ghost and a mountain of gold. She opened her mouth to question him, but the hostility in Zhang Yi's eyes forced her to swallow the words. She repeatedly insisted that instant noodles were more than enough. Zhang Yi ignored her and helped the exhausted Zhou Ke into the main bedroom. Zhou Ke was so tired that her legs still trembled. But Zhang Yi needed an answer to one critical question. With injuries that severe and no blood bags available, how had Zhou Ke managed to save Mr. Yu? Zhou Ke removed her bloody gloves and gave Zhang Yi a strange look. She admitted that she did not understand either. Mr. Yu's heart rate had merely reached 0 when every vital sign suddenly surged. His wounds began clotting on their own, and his muscle activity became far stronger than normal. None of it made medical sense. Zhang Yi's pupils contracted. Medicine could not explain it, but the apocalypse could. A near-death experience had triggered genetic restructuring. Mr. Yu had awakened. He was now the second awakened person in the entire complex, after Zhang Yi. It was both an incredible surprise and a dangerous unknown. If Mr. Yu woke with uncontrollable strength and rage like the Hulk, he might tear the entire safe house apart. Zhang Yi made an immediate decision and gripped Zhou Ke'er's shoulder. From that moment on, she would use sedatives and muscle relaxants to keep Mr. Yu temporarily immobilized. Zhang Yi wanted him alive, but until the danger was understood, Mr. Yu could not be allowed to move freely. Zhou Ke'er froze briefly, then understood his concern and nodded seriously. After giving the order, Zhang Yi returned to the living room. Xie Li Mei was opening a cup of noodles, while her restless eyes continued drifting toward the study. Zhang Yi strode over and grabbed her by the collar. He dragged Xie Li Mei toward the recovery room like a dead weight. She immediately begged for mercy and promised to stop looking around. Zhang Yi shoved her inside and pointed toward the unconscious Mr. Yu. From now on, Xie Li Mei would remain in that room and care for him. Every daily need would be handled inside. If Mr. Yu died or if Xie Li Mei stepped outside the room without permission, Zhang Yi would kill her. Zhang Yi drew a finger across his throat. Xie Li Mei turned deathly pale, retreated into the corner with the child, and nodded frantically. Zhang Yi closed the door, secured it with a heavy padlock, and placed the key in his pocket. For the moment, every internal and external threat had been isolated. He walked to the floor-to-ceiling window and looked down over the entire residential complex through the bulletproof glass. Inside the safe house, however, it remained as warm as spring and as secure as a fortress.